On this episode of the Star Wars Time Show, Matt and Nick will tear down every key moment and reference from the Book of Boba, S1E3, aka Scootergate, to see if they can predict what's in store next for Lord Fett. They'll also talk about a new Ming-Na Wen interview in which she tells fans that the Book of Boba finale will fundamentally change how they view the show's plot. Matt will recap the latest Star Wars comic and give updates on Luke's continued training at the hands of surprise Jedis. Of course, the fans will be honored in this week's iteration of the Fans segment, so prepare for some salty comments to be read, and to honor this week's Top 5 featured Star Wars artists. Punch it, Chewie!
Hey, now everybody, we're here. No more placeholder. Woo! Welcome back to the Peacemaker Show. It's Matt and Nick, and we're here to talk all things James Gunn's Peacemaker. John Cena, get this man an Emmy. Get this man a hot toy figure because I am finally on the bandwagon. So, hey, how's it going, everybody? No, we're not doing the Peacemaker Show. But yeah, during the BS segment that Nick and I usually start with, I am going to discuss this series because it has just completely exceeded all of my low expectations to the point where I am just as eager to watch Peacemaker episode 4 as I am to watch the Book of Boba Fett episode 4. And that's not a knock on the Book of Boba, all right? We'll get to all that stuff and, you know, talking about all the fans that have been airing their grievances since last Wednesday morning over a goddamn TV show. But we know that. I mean, Nick and I, we pre-gamed, and Nick's about ready to rescind his own Star Wars fandom card because he's getting sick of the fandom. And, you know, I don't blame him. That let's just say he's living his best life by not going on the Star Wars Time Show IG throughout the week and looking at people's stories and all that fun stuff. All right. Cause it does get it gets a little much depressing sometimes. I know I've been angry before, and, you know, that we all, or at least the longtime fans, we have talked about the book or my Boba Fett flamethrower session that happened, you know, 2 years ago, and how shitty I was to some people about their opinions. But it's just, it's out of control at this point in time. It's like George Lucas himself could lay his penis down on camera for 30 minutes and say, this is the next Star Wars, people. I'm George Lucas. And they would still be like, fuck you, you're washed up, you got a little dick, go back home and watch your Formula One racing, you washed up hack.
Yeah.
But we'll get there. We'll get there.
We'll definitely talk a little book, but I was surprised to hear that Matt is a big a big Peacemaker guy. So I want to hear about this show because I haven't watched it yet.
Yeah, so I think I've talked about this before. Nothing against John Cena. And the stuff that he's been in that isn't like a comedy for families, he just does not quite seem up to the level of acting that Batista and Dwayne Johnson have gotten to yet. And it's not that I still think Batista's probably the best out of all three in terms of actually playing a serious, legit role. But, you know, Cena, you could tell he's still trying to shake that wrestling persona. And you know what? He's a big dude, but he is kind of odd to look at, the way, like, how large he is. Like, The Rock looks like he should be that big. John Cena looks like maybe should have gotten that big. But either way, who cares? It doesn't matter. I watched Suicide Squad 2. I enjoyed it. I'm a fan of James Gunn. I like anything he does for the most part. I like the way he writes. I like his sense of humor. And probably my favorite thing about James is the way he pairs music to his creations, right? I mean, he's a master at bringing in classic rock and whatnot to his projects and having the music actually enhance a scene. So Suicide Squad 2, whatever. It's fun. It's gory as hell. I mean, if anything, if you just like crazy gore because you're a psycho like myself, it's a good watch. But one character, I was like, man, Peacemaker is just such a douchebag in Suicide Squad 2. I mean, he does douchey things to make you as a viewer not like him. But he just, I don't know. I didn't like it. I didn't like the way Cena portrayed him. I didn't really like the persona of the character. He just seemed like an asswipe.
Yeah.
So when Peacemaker was announced, I was like, what? Like, this is where we're going? Like, Peacemaker? That's the character we latch onto out of Suicide Squad 2? Not Harley Quinn, who's been in multiple movies at this point and is essentially the face of the DCEU, even more so than Batman. All right, going with Peacemaker. It's still James Gunn. I'll give it a shot. Watched the trailers. I was like, oh man, this is going to be just as douche chilly as his character in Suicide Squad 2, or just Suicide Squad, I guess. But I was like, you know what? I'll check it out. Why not? I pay for the HBO Max. I've gone through pretty much everything else over these past 4 weeks. Now I've been off. I almost did the full Harry Potter rewatch. We did the prequels rewatch the last weekend. It's like, all right, I need something new. So sat down, fired up Peacemaker episode 1. Luckily, first 3 episodes dropped. And Nick, I'm not fucking around. I'd say within 5-10 minutes of watching the first episode of Peacemaker, I started to go, holy shit, this is some goddamn fantastic TV. The writing is brilliant. The language is off the wall. I mean, the language is almost too much for even the Star Wars time show. And you know how sometimes my mouth gets. The gore is insane. The action's insane. And kind of the way I summed it up to my stunt buddy, if I could pull it up here. First episode of Peacemaker had me laughing out loud. Think the praise is legit. Because I saw last week, like, everyone's like, oh my God, James, you're the man. First 3 episodes of Peacemaker. Oh, let me suck your dick. Let me give you a reach around. There was all that type of stuff. And a lot of times, you know, from other fanboys or fangirls of a director and artist like James, you know, you can expect that type of stuff, as well as from the big critics. But I was like, nah, I think the praise is legit. It's like a mini 80s movie. Hard R gore. Tits, sex, crazy amount of swear words. All right, so I can't remember the last show, Nick, where I sat there and LOL'd almost the entire run of the episode.
Yeah.
And it's not just like, it's like, what? They just said that, or he just did that, or they just showed that. It's like a mix of Jackass, 80s action movies, and obviously the kind of the nuance that Gunn set up in Suicide Squad for this version of the DC universe and the character. It's hard to stop watching. It's impossible not to laugh. John Cena has won me over finally. I think he's brilliant in this role because he's playing like a douche. Like a guy that just doesn't understand that other people are essentially looking at him and laughing at him and not with him. But there's so many great things. I mean, Eagly, Nick, he has a pet eagle called Eagly. And it's like some of the fucking scenes with the eagle and the a lot of his team. He kind of gets pulled into a team that is Waller behind it. Is she not? I mean, but that's the thing with all the goofy hijinks. There's like a slow drip, secret, private eye type of plot going on with obvious comic book elements. There's like some strange shit going on, like not magic, but not real world type of crime solving. There's a little mystery they're taking you on. So not only do you get the goofiness that's funny as hell, but the overarching plot is something that compels you to, all right, well, I want to see what happens next. What are they going to find out about these butterflies? And what's going to make me laugh next? Or what's going to make me shoot milk out of my nose or beer out of my nose? Because I don't know, man. To me, it's the writing that makes Peacemaker a winner, and then the way the cast delivers the scenes that Gunn had in his head, probably when he was scripting this thing out. It's just... it's got elements of, some of Kevin Smith's best stuff where sometimes you can just sit there and listen to the characters talk about nonsense, yet it's hilarious and at the same time kind of deep. So that's it. Peacemaker's a winner. It's a hit for me. Best show of 2022, hands down.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't want to really compare it to the Book of Boba Fett because to me they're completely different genres.
Yeah, just tonally different as well.
Yeah, but it's like I said, I'm not going to be waking up at 4:35 a.m. to watch Peacemaker, but you're sure as shit I will be watching it Thursday night because I am compelled by it, want to see more, want to see what happens next, want to see whose boobs are going to pop out next. I mean, I'm telling you, it's like, it is that 80s feel. Because if, I know you were a little young, but I think you watched some 80s action movies when you were growing
absolutely.
up.
Absolutely.
So, those movies back then, it was a cookie cutter. You had a badass action star that could not be killed. He was essentially a superhero who had a foul mouth, would tell dirty jokes or say, catchphrases. The action was just insane. Like I said, I mean, one of the best 80s movies of all time is Arnold Schwarzenegger's Commando. There's really there's no other movie from there that epitomizes what an 80s action film was better than Commando, because one guy essentially takes on an entire country by himself and wins. And it's just, it's crazy. But even in those movies, you would always have, some boobs would pop out or like a gratuitous sex scene that you're watching when you're 5 or 6 going like, what the fuck is this? Man, my private parts are feeling funny now watching this. I kind of like it. Should I touch it? It's all there. It's all encapsulated in Peacemaker. So if you were like me and were thinking, man, this could be a waste of my time based on Suicide Squad and what I thought of the character in John Cena, trust me. Fire it up. I guarantee you by the end of episode 1, you're going to roll right into episode 2 and be happy about it. So there we go.
There you go.
Yes, and the blonde, like one of the co-leads, Harcourt, very choice-looking actress. And these are not my words. These are Peacemaker words. But he does describe that she has sugar tits. So there's like a great scene on that. Like, I'm telling you, it's refreshing in this era of uber politically correctness to kind of get a show like this that is making fun of racism, but also pushing the edge of what people used to put out there in TV shows and movies. So I applaud it. I applaud what Gunn and crew has crafted. I'm just surprised I haven't seen his brother in like a cameo role or a starring role yet, because he always, kind of like Robert Rodriguez we'll talk about, they tend to pop in the same actors in everything they do. So there you go. There's my little ditty on Peacemaker. I was pleasantly surprised and I'm pleased that I was surprised, because I'm always looking for good shit to watch that isn't real life, and Peacemaker is giving it to me right now. Awesome.
So I got one thing I want to talk about too, and it's going to stay in the HBO Max realm, and it's wildly different than Peacemaker. But I wanted to. I watched the Harry Potter 20th anniversary reunion special last night with Taylor, and I mean it was fantastic. And for me, as a person who grew up with Harry Potter, and more specifically, like grew up with Harry Potter in a way that, like, when I was reading the books and watching the movies, like my age aligned pretty closely to the ages of the characters in the show. So I was born in '88. The books came out June of '97, and I first got it in '98. So I was 10 when I was first reading it, and then Harry's 11 in the books. So all throughout the series, like, me reading it on release and stuff like that, I was always like kind of following the journey of the main characters while I was growing up, kind of experiencing the same things. And then even when the movies came out, the first movie came out in '01. I was 13 and Harry in it was 11. So I was still pretty close. And it was one of those series that, like, when you grow up with it, you don't really, like, you don't understand the level of appreciation you have for it at the time, because you're going through a lot of the same things the characters are going through, but when you're at that age, you really don't recognize how much of an impact and how important it is for you to have people that you can relate to, like, on a big screen. So it was super.
When you say that, Nick, it's interesting because there's not, obviously, other people in your generation that were fans of Potter, they can have a shared experience. But I'm just kind of thinking from my perspective and the shit I've gotten into. I've never followed something as a super fan where I could directly relate to the characters and their experiences. Because, Star Wars, I was watching when I was 2 or 3, and they're all in their teens or 20s. So there's no correlation there. So it is kind of a unique experience for you and Harry.
It is. And like if you look back on film history, there was really nothing like it before then. Like there was never, like even Star Wars, I mean, there was never a stretch of 7 or 8 movies that aged along with the populace that they were released with.
Correct.
I mean, the closest that you ever had to that was like old family sitcom TV where like, you could start watching it when it released, and if you're the same age as the kids in it, then you'll age along with that. But it's different when it's in long form movie, like type of storytelling, and it's different when you have the story that's being told in Harry Potter that gets darker and that gets more mature with time. Like if you're watching Family Matters and you started watching it when you were a kid and then you watch it again 10 years later, like tonally it doesn't really change.
Urkel's on meth. Season 10.
It's still like the funny, haha, look, oh my gosh, Carl doing all,
Did I do
same
that?
Shit. But with Harry Potter, it grew up with you. And the things that Harry and Ron and Hermione were struggling with were things that we were struggling with when we were growing up. And watching the 20th anniversary reunion actually got me kind of emotional.
Got the feels brewed up, huh? Little eye sweat a bit. Little eye sweat.
Yeah, I didn't cry, but there were moments when I was like, man, it wasn't until now that I realized how much this series meant to me. I mean, I had always been a fan. I mean, like you can look behind me over here, you can see my wand right next to all my Harry Potter books right here, and there's all the books, and I got another wand that's above that one and stuff like that. So I've always been a fan of the franchise. And, I love going to Harry Potter Land and Universal and stuff like that. But watching the retrospective and hearing the behind the scenes and seeing not only how these, like the characters in the show had bonded, but how these people had bonded and how essentially for 10 years of their life, like they were each other's best friends and
went to school together. Because I mean, all these every kid on that set was essentially in 7 or 8 years of Harry Potter life and school. I mean that's all they did.
Exactly. And I mean, it's weird because it's one of the few franchises out there that I feel like they could have done more with, and I still feel like they can do more with. Because outside of people always ask you like, well, what universe would you want to live in? Like if you could pick a fandom universe, what would you want to live in? And outside of Star Wars, like the one that I would probably pick is Harry Potter because it's so close to what we currently have. And you can see so much of our real life existence in the show, but it's just like just beyond the veil is this entire other world that we can't even fathom yet. Like that magic is real and there are this hidden society and stuff like that. I've always wanted to live in it. And it was really an incredible experience. And I wish that they would have done more in terms of expanding the universe, maybe writing more books or having other content based around, other characters from the movies. So
you would have rathered them not do the prequel shit and just kept on with Harry and Hermione and Ron's timeline.
I mean, I know a lot of people hate the Fantastic Beasts stuff, and I do agree that it is basically their Star Wars prequels at this point. Like, it's not as good, and it doesn't capture the essence of what was captured in the original movies and in the original books. It's just not there. And I don't necessarily wish that we would have stayed with Harry and Hermione and Ron, but like there's so much other stuff that's happening in that same era. Like, you know, you have the other schools that you were introduced to in the fourth movie, where you have, you know, the Durmstrang kids, and then the Bo Patton girls, and then you like there's such a wide universe that we've never seen before, and like they're kind of going back, and I know that they wanted to focus on Grindelwald, but there's a lot of it, and I would love to see them take like an expanded universe, take kind of like Star Wars did, where you have books that are written about ancillary characters, you have you know, kind of spin-off stuff that we're seeing with Star Wars, where we have shows that are dedicated to the non-main characters.
Just don't fuck with their legacy. Legacy.
We'll get to that later. But like, the world itself is ripe for expansion, and I just don't know if it's ever going to happen.
Hey,
which
listen,
kind of like me.
I as a super, because you're definitely like a Potter super fan. I mean, I completely appreciate the films. Too stupid to read the books or really get that deep into the world. I pissed away my fantasy investment into Lord of the Rings, which is not pissing away, but that's kind of that was my fantasy world I dove into other than Star Wars. But as an outside observer who just watched the movies, to this day, I think it's a fucking crime that Hermione and Harry were not the endgame couple. It's stupid. I know that, yeah, Ron and, you know, they had their thing throughout the movies, but Harry ending up with Ginny or whatever the hell her name, it's dumb. And I even think JK, you know, that lovely woman later on in life was like, yeah, I probably fucked up and should have had Harry and Hermione hook up. I don't know. That just always bugged me. I feel like they were meant, you know, she was the best at everything, and he's Harry Potter Jesus. They just seemed like they should have been the ones to come together. Is that just because I only watched the movies? Or did you also feel like it, like, nah, this Ginny shit's bullshit. It should have been Harry and Hermione.
No, I didn't feel like that. I also feel like the interpersonal relationships in this series didn't matter nearly as much as like the friendship that was built between those three. Like, so like who they were dating and stuff like that was never really important to me. It was more about like the bond that they had as friends and like how they were, you know, there for each other regardless of who they were dating and stuff like that. So I really didn't care about that. But yeah, I mean, it was super cool for me to be able to like watch that and not only like reminisce on my time with the franchise, but also like where I was in my life at certain points during that time and stuff.
I can see where the waterworks turned on. Did it also make you feel like a shithead that you're not working in movies and getting to do what these people did with their lives? Because usually when I watch stuff like this, that's when I'm like, damn it. Why don't I have 10 years of my life where I could talk about magical experiences creating these amazing films? And it's like when you watch and we've said this before a million times, but the BTS on the Lord of the Rings DVDs or Blu-rays, that is the greatest documentation of what it would be like to make a trilogy like that. I mean, we're talking like hours and hours and hours and hours of what those people went through to make those 3 movies way back when. So I usually, when I watch that shit now, I'm like, man, I am a fucking loser. Like
to a certain degree, I did feel like that. But this one was done in a way to where it wasn't too much about like, it was more focused on like them reminiscing and not really as much as about them like, oh, well, we're gonna, you know, let's deep dive into how this was made or how this was made. It was really focused on the relationships with like the director and the characters or the, you know, the ancillary characters and the main characters and all of these other people. And it was way more focused on like, on that than like the actual filmmaking aspect of it, which I thought was really cool. So it was more of a reunion and less of a BTS. And one thing I also have to call out too, because we're obviously going to talk about it when we get to our Boba Fett stuff soon.
There,
but
buddy.
like,
we're getting there.
The fandom of Harry Potter is just so much better than the fandom.
Wait, they don't try to piss on your Cheerios every single day, and you're like, oh, I like this. Fuck you! The 20th it ruined all their legacies. Did you see how slow they filmed that interview? Those sons of bitches. That's not my Harry Potter.
And look, there are, and like, you know, people don't like the Fantastic Beast stuff. There are a lot of people who are like, you know, this doesn't feel like Harry and stuff like that, but it's never visceral. Like, it's never like people are emailing fucking or tweeting at directors saying that they're going to kill them.
Yeah,
and
like, I hate you.
There's
you hack ass loser.
And then like, whenever I talk to a Harry Potter fan, it's like, you know what never comes up? Like, whenever I talk to somebody else who's a fan, they're never like, well, that movie sucked, huh? Like, that one was bad.
I know exactly what you're saying. Huh? It is rough to be a Star Wars fan these days and to try and enjoy it without someone coming in and trying to essentially stick their penis in your mouth, right? And let you know that they're smart, you're dumb, you can't like something that they don't think is good enough for them. I get it. Yeah. So, all right.
And I mean, like, if you look at Kingdom, where he's like, oh yeah, the fandom's fine right now, give it another 30 years. I mean, the thing is like, they're not doing what Star Wars did. Like, Star Wars did like rapid expansion and novels and stuff like that over that time period. And Harry Potter really is just kind of like, we did our thing. Like, we did our Harry Potter movies, and yeah, we'll do these Fantastic Beasts ones, but we're not like oversaturating the landscape with a bunch of stuff out there for people to, like, you know, cling to or to become angry at. So I don't know. It's just, it was refreshing for me to watch that and know, like, the friends that I have who are big Harry Potter fans don't really carry the negativity
we're going to make you feel like an asshole for liking it. I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. And, you know, I guess I was sort of like that a while back with the prequels and really the whole Boba Fett scandal from a few years back. But hey, I'm getting better, but I still have a few things to share with other fans on how everyone's behaving these days. It's like, Jesus, man, give it a break. Yeah, we're not watching a movie. We're watching a long form movie. Like, don't get ready to burn your shorts just because you didn't like 2 minutes of an action scene in an episode. And we actually have a story from Ming-Na Wen herself where it's almost like she's trying to respond to the fandom. Like, listen, just have some fucking patience. And yeah, they're like, we'll get into we're transitioning over to the Boba, but I just want everyone to remember that has their Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni tattoos and statues. They created this fucking show, okay? Robert Rodriguez hasn't written a freaking scene for the Book of Boba Fett. Your god, Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni have, right? Okay? These are coming from the same people that made The Mandalorian, that are going to be making Ahsoka. Have some trust, all right? Trust the process. I don't even think you need to. Like, I'm enjoying myself watching the Book of Boba Fett. So let's get right into it. It's time to break down the Book of Boba Fett, Season 1, Episode 3, a.k.a. The Streets of Mos Espa. Or the Power Rangers one, or Scootergate, whatever you want to call it. But like I said, I still quite enjoy this show. I quite enjoyed Episode 3. Do I share some critiques with some of the visuals? Sure, it's hard not to. All right. But does a slow speeder chase and scooter scene make me feel like they have raped the legacy of Boba Fett? Absolutely not, because he doesn't have one. Okay? You all have to remember that. The EU shit, that's all it was and ever will be. It's expanded universe nonsense. It's legends now. It means nothing. Boba Fett is the man defined in The Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, and then more recently in War of the Bounty Hunters. All right? So just reset your expectations. But with that being said, what's so wrong about turning a character that wasn't even a real character? I mean, he was just a guy that stood there. He's kind of like a fucking dude on set for the most part. What's so wrong about learning a bit more about him and how he can change and become a different version of himself? Is that not what most humans do in life? At least those that want to grow beyond who people think they are based on past acts. All right, we're not going to get all kumbaya, but it's like sometimes let's like fucking cool the jets, people. Cool the jets. Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni. These aren't the villains you all have created in your minds. This isn't Rian Johnson. This isn't Kathleen Kennedy. These are the two motherfucking guys that a lot of us have anointed the new gods of Star Wars. So have some faith. All right? Like I said, episode 3, listen, as soon as I got done watching it, I sent Nick a smoke signal. I was like, hey, buddy, just prepare for the fandom to revert back to the episode 1 negativity after they were all uplifted and remembered that they do like Star Wars in episode 2. Because I knew it was coming. It was, first off, it was a short episode, and I will agree, I don't think live action Star Wars works well at 35 minutes or less. It's like 5 to 7 minutes too short. You get us into the 42, 44 minutes and beyond, all right. I think that's a better formula for live action Star Wars. But what the hell do I know? I'm not really a storyteller. I'm just some asshole that goes online and talks about other people's stories. The chase scene, yes, looked extremely out of place. All right. It was very slow. I don't even understand how that made it out of dailies and got approved for final visuals. Because it's jarringly slow. But with that being said, who gives a fuck? Who cares? I watch Star Wars for the most part, and this is no bullshit. Yeah, the flashy stuff and the lightsaber battles and the pew-pews, that's all neat. That's never why I became a super fan of Star Wars. I'm a nut for this because of the fake-ass lore that George Lucas created and now Favreau, Filoni, et al. Are adding to. I like the stories. I like learning about what makes someone do what we're seeing them do or what they used to do. And that's exactly what we're getting in the Book of Boba Fett. I don't know what everyone else was expecting. Like, if you were expecting this to be The Mandalorian Season 2, Episode 6 on repeat for 7 episodes, what fucking planet do you live on? Like, hello? That's not what you were going to get. They told you. I mean, all the damn interviews we covered on the show as we were spinning our wheels trying to produce content when Star Wars itself had no content for months on end after the Bad Batch. They were telling you, like, listen, we're going to humanize them a bit. It may be too much. Tem himself said, I don't know, I pushed back. But what did Tem say after that? I trust Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau. As should we all until the end. Because really what we're getting here with all this stuff, and I know we were spoiled with Mando because, it had episodes that popped on their own, but ultimately what the Book of Boba Fett is a long fucking movie, and we're just barely to the middle part. We're just barely getting over the setup for the payoff to come in the climax. But I'm still enjoying it. I don't know. It's like, I don't let visual stuff ruin the lore being told for me. It's kind of the same thing, the point I made with the Ahsoka episode. Like, oh, her necktails are too short. Fuck this. They ruin. I don't even get there. I could care less. I mean, I could be watching this show with unfinished effects and be happy. Like literally seeing the Rancor's head on a blue screen and Danny and Tem sitting there talking to it. As long as they're delivering Star Wars lore to me that jives, like, fine, let's do it. So was episode 3 better than episode 2? No, not really. Was it a tire fire that a lot of fans have made it out to be? Absolutely not. I still think you're getting great stuff there. I was surprised by the fast forward on the Tusken tragedy. We set that up last week as that could be a very major moment, and it was glossed over, but I think it was glossed over for a reason. And a lot of this I'm going to reiterate when we talk about Ming-Na Wen's latest interview, because she herself is like, listen, these dudes are chess masters. They are setting up pieces that you probably don't even realize are being set up for a big-ass checkmate in your face in the finale that's going to make you go, oh, now I get it all. So, I just ask, let's have a little patience. If you don't like the color of scooters or the look of gangs, is it really the end of the world for Star Wars? Is it really damaging Boba Fett? I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, honestly, like, it's getting tiring now as a fan of Star Wars for my whole life when every time you go on anywhere, it's just like people shitting on stuff constantly about like really dumb shit, and it's just like it gets to the point to where it's like, do I like I like the content. It's one of the reasons why I don't go on social media to read people's stuff, because in general, the Star Wars fandom's just like it's not in a good place right now. I don't know when it'll be back in a better place, or if it, whatever, but like it's just depressing to go on to Reddit, or it's depressing to go on to Instagram or something like that and just be like, this is shit, everything's shit, blah blah blah.
It's great.
It's like,
and hey, listen, I'm preaching to the choir here. I mean, it seems like everyone needs to be a critic too. I mean, we are a branded Star Wars account, and you get less critical comments on Star Wars from our account than you get from just random people. I mean, everyone on Wednesday has to put in their story, like, rate it, hot or not. Rate it is like, fucking, like, who gives a shit what you think? We want you to give a shit what we think. So yes, I'm being a complete asshole right here, and my argument has no logic, because I'm saying don't listen to the other motherfuckers, listen to us. But I'm being serious. We'll at least give you some critiques with merit behind it. All right, we're not just gonna scooters 4 out of 10. All right, really? Because of a slow chase scene, that was it? That bit it all for you? Not the fact that I finally learned how to say Chrysanthemum's name. I mean, that was a win for me. Just hearing fucking Fennec Shand actually pronounce that dickhead's name properly, I was like, oh, that's how you say it. Because I couldn't even figure out when you go look how it's broken down phonetically on Wikipedia. That's why I was like, Kershini, I'd be like, black. So, I mean, just learning that it's Chrysanthemum was huge.
Yeah. And I mean, like that fight scene in itself was fun. There was a lot to, like, in my opinion, there was a lot to like about this episode, but I mean, I don't know. It seems like if it's not perfect from stem to stern, then people just think it's trash.
Nick, a lot of it goes back to it didn't meet what they wrote in their own heads. Because with the gang, it's not Boba Fett's daughter. I'm like, who the fuck's Boba Fett's daughter? Like, people, like, it's this legend stuff. Like, it's not this or that or other. It's like, no, let's just let things play out. All right. I mean, maybe the gang's gone tomorrow. Who the fuck knows? But I think Boba, he's trying to build up a posse. He knows he's fucked, and he also knows if you treat people like that with respect and give them an opportunity and pay their debts, they may lay down their life for you, and it already paid off. I mean, what the fuck was Fennec Shand up to? I got some theories on that. I mean, how do you let a Wookiee bigger than Chewbacca ninja himself all the way up to Boba's personal quarters? Come on. I think there's some suspicious shit to talk about. So, Nick, let's get into it. Time for the deep dive. So, yeah, it sounds like Nick enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. Was it the best Star Wars of all time? No, but it's still Star Wars, and it's moving the ball forward. I've learned a little bit more about Boba and why he is the way he is in this timeline, and that's what I'm looking for. I'm not worried about past Boba. I'm worried about, all right, why'd he show up in a fucking nomad outfit with gaffy sticks? Check, got that. Okay. Why is he doing this stuff now on Mos Espa? Well, you can kind of see why. I mean, there's clearly some beef with the Pikes and the Syndicates and the way they were treating the natives of Tatooine, and I really do think that is his motivation for doing what he's doing. Are we going to learn more in the past? Of course. Just like I said, it is a key component of how this story is being told. Slap his ass in the back to tank. We're going, and just as Tim promised, some is going to be quick like this week, some will be long like episode 2. So from here, we're definitely moving into, I think, him stumbling upon Fennec, wanting to get the ship back and all the armor stuff. So that is exciting for me as well. But here we go. Let's get into the deep dive. Getting lots of commentary in the live stream. Do appreciate it. So if you want to join the live stream and you're new here, every Tuesdays, approximately 2:30 p. East on YouTube, youtube.com/Star Wars Time shows where you can find us. All right, so time for the eggs, Star Wars references, and in this episode, cameo breakdown of the episode 3 here, The Streets of Mos Espa. We knew this was coming. We got the Bomar Monk. Whoop-de-doo. I mean, these people are kind of wild if you actually read about who they are. These guys felt that the best way to become as enlightened as fuck was to rip their brains out and put it in a jar that's carried around by a mechanical spider. So respect. Yeah. All right. Respect to these people.
Yeah.
This guy right here. All right. When I saw him come out, what was his name? Lothar Peel, or in Star Wars, something like that. Lothar Peel. It doesn't really matter. I don't know if we'll see him again.
Stephen Root. That's it.
I'm talking about like the character in Star Wars is like Lothar Peel, but yeah, the actor is Stephen Root, who, if you were paying attention, one of his more notable characters, and it's a tagline that a lot of people, at least in my generation, know. But have you seen my stapler? Yeah. Have you seen my stapler? He's Stapler Guy from Office Space, among other comedic roles. Like he seems to be, he's in those type of films playing bit characters that usually get iconic lines, because he's the guy, right? He's not Dodgeball, Dodge a Wrench guy. No, that was Rip Taylor.
He's Dodgeball, who's like all about the rules. He's got like the ADA rule book says that you can only have 5 players on the court at one time. Right there. Yeah. See. He's like the nerdy guy in Dodgeball.
Yeah.
So yeah, he was in that and stuff. So like for me, when I saw him, I was like, oh wow, Stephen Root's in this. And then I remembered, I was like, okay, so this is Rodriguez. Rodriguez is gonna probably be a little bit more like cameo heavy than others, because he is such a notable director slash filmmaker who's worked with a lot of people before. So it won't surprise me if we get even more cameos down the line.
Yeah, I mean, this episode alone had a few. I think, who was it? I think it was Johnny said, up next will be Antonio Banderas in the next episode, because he's another Robert Rodriguez staple in most of his movies. So, but hey, it's always fun to see these people get pulled in and kind of remember where we've seen them before and funny lines they've said. I didn't end up putting it in the video because I forgot. I do this shit way early in the morning on Wednesdays, but I love that 8D8 refers to the sail barge blowing up as the sail barge disaster in his timeline. I just like that. That's what he goes with. That's what it's known in the history of Jabba's palace. It is the sail barge disaster. I thought that was neat. See, it's this little rinky ding bullshit that gets me off with these Star Wars shows, Nick. It's not the, hey, look at this. I mean, if we want to bitch about visuals, go rewatch the prequels. Go rewatch Anakin surfing on the back of some big fat ass cow in the fields of Naboo. I mean, come on. I wish I could wish it all away. I just watched them all 3 again, and it's like the prequels are my favorite now, but they still have so many issues. I think that's why I love them. They're lovable now. Lovable.
I haven't watched a prequel movie.
I love them. I love TPM now. Attack of the Clones has really grown on me. I just love the wonkiness of it, and really seeing the formation of the clones now that we have the Clone Wars and Bad Batch. It's the little shit like that. Going back to Kamino and seeing little Boba Fett again after we're seeing this. So hey, there's reasons for my madness. And even Revenge of the Sith gets better and better each time I watch it, thanks to Clone Wars and Bad Batch and all that fun stuff. But anyways, moving on here. Sticking with our Easter eggs, we got pretty much a direct callback to a transition scene from Return of the Jedi when we return to the palace and see a wart frog sitting outside, just like we got in Return of the Jedi. And as I said in my video, which I'd love for you to check out because numbers drop down significantly from the breakdown from 1 to 2 to 3. But there was it's the same damn frog from Return of the Jedi. You heard it here first. Go ahead and post it on the Reddit forums. Thank you. Next in our breakdown here, this was a deep one here and an eagle eye one, right? We had Boba goes to Mos Eisley. You get the setup for the trooper helmets on a spike. Because you got to remember, this is very shortly after the fall of the Empire. So, they're still all gung-ho. Well, actually, we don't know. I mean, this could be a year or two at this point, right? We have no clue how long he has been with the Tuskens at this stage.
We're kind of losing track of that timeline quickly. Yeah.
I'm going to say, just based on the fact that they got these things on pikes and they looked weathered already, that we're probably a year or two after the fall of the Empire. So take it to Reddit. You heard it here first. Star Wars Time Show's the best. But I almost missed this here. I was like, hey, I can mention that. That's a direct reference to Mandalorian because we see Din walk by the same kind of, hey, fuck you, stormtroopers, stay out sculpture that they erected in Mos Eisley. But if you look beyond them, that's our girl Peli from The Mandalorian and her 3 pit droids. So that was kind of like a trifecta, if you will.
Yeah, no, that was a good catch. I saw it at first too because I was like, so is it actually going to happen the way I said it, where he's going to see Peli with Grogu and stuff like that? Maybe they're establishing her here, so it's when you see her in future episodes, you're not like, well, where'd she come from?
Yeah, well, when we get through this, I want to have a little bit of a speculation session because I think we're at a good point now. We know enough that I think we can either add to or retract some of our speculative statements. So remind me of that. When he goes to meet with the Pike leader, he drops an Obadiah mention, which is their home planet, I believe most recently featured in the Clone Wars Season 7 and the episode arc with Ahsoka and the Martez sisters. There are some, actually, I think it's Super Scoundrel and Props. I don't see it, gentlemen, but I'm a design idiot, but they're trying to say there's hints of like Crimson Dawn in this guy's robe here, and I'm not seeing the direct symbolism matchup. I'm still not backing off my Crimson Dawn prediction, but I wasn't getting that one. So if you're in here, Justin or Devin, and you can explain design to 2 idiots, please go ahead and leave a comment, and we'll come back to it. But yeah, the Obadiah mention. We also, this was another deep one, and this is why I take notes and turn on closed captioning like a douche when I watch the Book of Boba Fett for the first time. But we finally get the name of the Nikto gang. They are the Kenton Striders. But being the Star Wars scholar that I am, and a fact checker and truth sayer, I'm not like most people. It's just someone tells me something, I accept it as fact without researching it myself. So, this Pike, he's a shady asshole. So I wrote down Kenton Striders ? When I did some research, yes, it's the name of this Nikto game now, but a Kenton Strider is literally one of the creatures we have seen on the Djarik tables. I had a shot of it in the video breakdown. So again, please check that out. Give us some views, some likes, some comments, some subs. But it's one of the bigger creatures we've seen prominently featured in Djarik. It's called a Kenton Strider. So that was an interesting one here.
Yeah. It's the one with the hammer, like the big. It almost looks like a Rancor with the big ass. Yeah, shoulders.
It's almost like the all body and just 2 long ass arms and squatty legs, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of the ones that either beats up the big lizard looking one or gets beat up by the big lizard looking one, I believe. So.
Yeah.
Gotta like those deep cuts there. I have a feeling anytime you get that type of stuff, that's Filoni reading Favreau's script and dropping a little note in here and be like, hey, yeah, just call him this. Wink, wink. The dorks like Matt Haywood at Star Wars Time Show, they'll get a kick out of this shit, losers. All right, the big cameo, and I quite enjoyed it, even though it's hard when you get characters like an actor like this. It's like it's hard to see past their real life persona. But you get Trejo in here as a new Rancor keeper, which it's actually a fantastic role for Trejo. So the fact that just a Rancor rolled up kind of tickled my tits, but then seeing Danny there as its keeper, that was just the cherry on top. And this is another thing I want to speculate on down the road here, Nick, if you'll let me.
Yeah,
because I'm not so sure if everything's on the up and up here, or if I'm just reading into it too much. But there was a part of me that feels like, what, are the twins and Danny here, Machete in space, are they trying to pull a fast one on Boba with this gift? But I honestly think he is a genuine Rancor keeper, cares about the beast, and does want to see the beast with its new owner being happy and cared for and all that fun stuff. But I guess we can talk on that in a little bit. What do we got here? Oh, Danny. while we're in the Rancor pit, and he's kind of talking about the Rancor to the Boba and riding Rancors. There it is. So now we know the leak is definitely going to play out. Not that we doubted it before, but this pretty much cements that we are going to see this guy on the back of a Rancor causing hell, looking like a boss. Maybe that will be enough for everybody, but I'm sure the real angry ones will be too little, too late. Too little, too late. Boba should have done that episode 1. Mayor Mokshay's sounds like Mayor McCheese. What's up with this show? It's a disgrace. Remember, you're saying that about Favreau and Filoni. Just remember that, because when you come at me in Mando season 3, anointing them as gods again, I might spit in your face. All right, but anyways, they're sitting here talking about the Rancor, and he gives us a Witches of Dathomir drop. And that, again, this is a little goofy lore shit that I just appreciate. Fantastic. This one I may be going out on a limb here, but I do, just from some other toy photographers, unless they were like one of the few people to watch my breakdown, have also ran with this theory. But Boba says, I've ridden Beast 10 times this size. And I instantly went back to, is this a cheeky ass fucking nod to the holiday special where you see Boba on a goddamn dinosaur? Because he does, Nick. He rides a dinosaur, and it has a saddle, so it's like not bullshit. He's actually riding it. I believe in Star Wars land, it's called an Ichiodon. Yes, I go that far with my research. But I feel like that was a tip of the hat to nuts that would have even had the light bulb go like, hey, what? Is he talking about the dinosaur this motherfucker rode when he was Blue Boba Fett in that goofy-ass cartoon? And I'm sticking with it.
Yeah. One other thing I liked about this scene was like the very real like connection made between Rancors and pit bulls. Like if you are not a person that sees beyond the pictures in front of you, you should realize that everything that they're talking about with the Rancor in this case, or Rancors in general, is a complete mirror to pit bulls in real life.
Oh, it is? I'm not. Yeah. Listen, I think people think I'm a commie because I don't own a dog. I love animals. I like animals more than people, and that's a true statement. I would rather save an animal than a person at this point in my life. But I have no clue. So that's a real thing. Like pit bulls essentially bond on sight, like the first human they see, like that's their god.
I mean, I don't know about the bonding on sight thing, but like all of the perception around him, like, oh, I didn't know that they could feel feelings. I thought that these were
they're just rabid
creatures
beasts
that were made for fighting and only fighting. I didn't know that they could have, relationships with humans and stuff like that. That's like always the perception of pit bulls to people who don't know anything about them.
I believe any animal that ends up being a pile of shit is because the human is a pile of shit. I don't see it. Like it doesn't make sense. But anyways, we'll talk about this scene in our key moments. I love this scene as an animal lover, and just seeing Tem's performance. I thought it was a thing of beauty. But again, to some people, it makes, I guess, Boba Fett look like he chopped his testicles off. I don't see it that way. I see it as a man that lived in the fucking desert and probably hung out with banthas and learned to respect the land and the creatures. Growth, okay? Yeah, Boba Fett can grow, okay? It's okay. It is okay that he has gone from just a dude that doesn't say anything in a helmet to a guy that takes his helmet off a lot and has a lot to say, and some of it actually has some compassion behind it. It's okay. It's okay. Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni. That's all you got to keep telling yourself. Oh, sorry, I forgot to tell you that the whole point we're looking at the slide on the live stream. This scene was packed with eggs and references, but as Boba is pulled away to go deal with McCheese, he tells Danny Trejo, Rancor Keeper, to grab a Ronto from the larder. And Rontos are those other big-ass dinosaur-looking things that I believe were first featured in the special edition of A New Hope. When they're rolling into Mos Eisley, you can see like Jawa's trying to tame it and falling off and all that fun stuff. So I dig those little nods, even though they're mostly useless. And as I said in the video, if you were keeping a Dank Farrik bingo card and you had Fennec Shand as your last letter, then you would have won, because she was the first one in this series to utter the slang that was introduced in The Mandalorian. She drops the Dank Farrik when they realize they got played by the Major Domo. All right, so beautiful stuff. This was a deep dive here. We had, I mean, this is almost Deadpool level shit, like fourth wall. During the chase, Nick, I'm sure you saw the painting. You're probably, yeah, it's a painting. This is Ralph McQuarrie concept art for Return of the Jedi. I mean, Boba Fett himself is in the fucking painting. He's over there in the right behind Jabba and Bib's over there. So, talk about, we know what we're doing. We know how to wink at the diehards. This was like a beautiful little Easter egg. We had art of the guy that the show is about that was created for a Star Wars movie, 40 years ago at this point, over 40 years. Yeah. So that was a fun one. We had the droid rickshaw. I just watched Attack of the Clones again to verify. Yep, I'm pretty sure this is the exact same one that wheeled Anakin and Padme around when they were going to look for information about his dying mommy. The end of the everyone's favorite speeder chase in Star Wars now. When Homeboy crashes into that stand. If you're a fan of Star Wars Rebels, you may have recognized that those were Mellorunes, which are fruit, and they were actually a plot device in an episode of Star Wars Rebels. Hera is trying to get, I think, Zeb, Ezra, and some of the others to work better together, so she sends them out on a mission to get a Mellarune fruit, and here we go. So I like those little callbacks, even though they don't really, that one's not really adding lore to it, but it is a nod to, hey, everything's connected here. We know what we're doing. All right, Nick, so some of the key moments to study here. Right from the get-go, we got a little bit of a knowledge drop from 8D8. All right. He let us know when he was talking about the sail barge disaster, which I still think is fantastic. So much so I think 8D8 should put up a commemorative plaque in the palace with all the people that died in the sail barge disaster of what? 4ABY or something like that.
Yeah, 4ABY.
Or whatever, however we're supposed to recount the timeline these days. But he kind of set some more stuff up, which I think is going to come into play in episode 4 here, and we'll talk about that when we speculate on what we're going to see. But we learned what happens after Jabba's death. Like, we actually get a good download here. So, yeah, Bib usurped it. He took the throne. But like 8D8 said, like, everyone knew Bib was a little pussy. So he had to make an alliance with the Transdoshans, Aqualish, and Klatooinians to split up Mos Espa into sectors. All right. So unlike Jabba, Bib had to rely on these alliances to keep the tributes coming in. And he also drops the nugget like, hey, by doing this, it also made the mayor quite wealthy. So right there in that little information download, we now understand why the mayor is not a huge fan of what's happening here. We also understand why Boba's struggling a little bit, because Bib was not doing it all by himself. He was relying on these other, vassals, capos, if you will, to kind of keep order, who were in turn greasing the mayor, and everyone was happy. Bib was getting fat, sitting on the throne. He didn't have to do shit. He didn't have to be a bad guy. He had all these other factions do it for him. So you can see how when Boba comes in and shoots his fat ass, that he just completely blew up an underworld system that was working quite well for the 3 factions and the mayor himself. So it's very clear, at least from the mayor's perspective, like, yeah, this is no good. I got this guy coming in that I might have heard rumors about from the Pikes that was trying to free the Tuskens and get them tributes for these syndicates. I can't have him taking my coin away from the setup we had under Bib. So good little bit of knowledge there. And yes, I do believe we are finally going to get the dinner table scene that has been teased since the first trailer.
You mean the one that was in episode 1? Because everything from the trailers was in episode 1.
You're right. Yeah, it must have been a bonus scene or deleted scene at this point in time. But yeah, so I think we are going to get that dinner scene. We have to. We know he's preparing for war at the end of 3, so he's got to bring in these capos and give him the speech and see if he can get more people on his side. Everyone's favorite gang, all right? Jordan Balger, he's from Peaky Blinders, so I guess you can't hate him too much if you don't like this character. And yeah, whatever, Cyberpunk this and Power Rangers that. I get it all. But are they the worst thing in Star Wars? I don't think so. I still think the worst thing in Star Wars is how Anakin Skywalker's turn to the dark side was handled in film. But what the fuck do I know? I go for like the higher level stuff. Like I said, narrative lore. That's the stuff I'm concerned about. Not so much the way people look or how shitty an action scene is filmed. That stuff can be fixed or ignored. You can't ignore bad storytelling. All right, take that to the bank. But this is just his interaction with the gang and actually showing them respect and giving them a chance. It's there to show you once again, this is not the mindless hunter that he was before he spent some time in the gut of a Sarlacc and then spent some time kind of being broken down but built back up in a familial setting. Like, this is what it's like, Boba. This is what you've been missing since you were 10 years old. We understand why you're fucked up. We'd all be fucked up if we had no parents at 10 and then the people that did take care of us were criminals. All right, I get it. He was a disturbed individual. But that time out in the pit and then his time with the Tuskens has changed him greatly. And I think that's because all he's ever wanted, all little Boba has ever wanted was a family.
Yeah.
He tried to get it from the underworld, and it didn't do him justice. Look where it led him. It led him to be a buffoon that got slapdick into the Sarlacc pit. And I think he realized that when he was sitting down. He's like, what the fuck am I doing with my life? Why? All right, so I like the, I was even expecting him to show up and be like, all right, fuckers, get the guy's money. But it makes sense that he did what he did. He needs people. He's got nobody. And at this point, I don't even think Fennec truly has his back. I think there's some shady shit going on with her. We'll get to there when we talk about Chrysanthemum's little move. But he needs to build up forces any way he can. And if it's bringing in people that he does a solid for and knows that they now kind of owe him, I think it's a smart move. Even if they have shitty looking scooters, all right? Don't get me wrong. I thought the scooters were dumb. It didn't make sense when they're talking like, we're so poor we have to steal water, yet we can get the nicest looking scooters on Tatooine. I understand a lot of the complaints people had. It doesn't affect my overall enjoyment of the character of the series. Okay? I just want everyone to be clear on that. I get it. The shit looked wonky. So what? Like I said, the entire prequels looks wonky. These days, and I hate saying this because it's sacrilegious, but there's wonkiness in the originals because they're so fucking old. I mean, come on. All right. This one surprised me, Nick. I don't know about you. I mean, we talked about last week. I really felt the tragedy of his Tusken gang or his Tusken family would have been shown in full to really kind of hammer it home with the viewers, like, this is bad. They did bad things to Boba. This is why he wants to clean shit up. But I think it still achieves that goal without showing the massacre. And I also think not seeing the massacre leaves room for further fleshing out, because I said this in the breakdown here. We did not see the body of the warrior, and I believe we didn't see the body of the child. We saw the body of the chief, so yes, we can count the chieftain as dead. In fiction, if you don't see a body, the character isn't necessarily dead. So I think but this was probably also to kind of reinforce, like, hey, Boba, you did that thing with the train. You got these people mixed up in the crime world now. Now you're gonna pay. Like, you're kidding yourself if you think the Kenton Striders did this on their own. The fucking Pikes sent these motherfuckers after him, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, we kind of basically get around to that anyway. When, like, towards the end of the episode, where they're like, "Oh yeah, new faction, blah blah blah." It's the Pikes. Like, now we know that the Pikes are really the people who are kind of pulling the strings here. In terms of the massacre, I don't think it was necessary to see it. I mean, we didn't see Luke's, aunt and uncle getting killed by the stormtroopers. We showed up and it was basically a similar scene. Everything was fucking set on fire.
Yeah.
And you had bodies strewn on the ground. So I think that, if anything, it was very similar to what we saw in A New Hope that kind of triggered Luke's journey and, what he ended up turning into. And it's similar to, for Boba Fett now. Like, this is triggering kind of a life change moment. Like, Luke was, Luke always wanted to get out.
You're
and
spot
do stuff,
on.
But
run, Nick, run. You're hit. You got it. Go.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, he wanted to get out and do stuff, but realistically, if his aunt and uncle weren't killed, would Luke have gone out and joined the rebellion? No, of course not. And Boba Fett was becoming very comfortable with the Tuskens, and he even right before the massacre scene, what we saw is like now he's trying to help them. Like, look, you guys are going to get protection money now because we're going to run protection for these Pike syndicates and stuff like that. And this is what he needed to kind of catapult his life into what we see now, which is him, moving away from just being this nomad and settling for this Tusken lifestyle, and now becoming a crime lord. Or, I mean, at least that's kind of what we think he's going for is crime lord, but maybe he's got a different perception of what he's
yeah
become.
I mean, this scene now clearly this is the transition moment, as Nick said. I mean, that was a beautiful parallel between A New Hope, because you're right, it's the exact same idea. I think Boba was content to kind of hang with these people maybe for the rest of his life. He went out, he was the money man, right? He was trying to get the tribute. That's where he learned that the Kenton Striders also supposedly had a protection deal with the Pikes. And clearly, like I said, the Pikes sent them there to do this. And they probably knew Boba was leaving to come get the money and set all this up. And it is spot on, as Nick said. This is 100% the burning of Delar's farm and Beru and Owen. Same idea. And for those in the chat here, clear you didn't watch my video, so shame on all of you. I need more views. It keeps me going. I know all the gaffy sticks were burned. We did not see the bodies. A gaffy stick is not a body, okay? I'll give you the kid a bit, because the fact that he pulled it out of his robe implies that he saw the dead body and kept the stick for burning. But I also, and I really didn't feel like doing this. I usually do this. So if someone wants to do it and prove me wrong, please do it, because I don't feel like doing the heavy lifting here. But I thought the warrior's gaffy stick had prongs on the end and not just a straight blade, because that is what he throws into the flame, is a straight bladed gaffy stick. So if someone can verify that that's exactly what her stick looked like, then sure, but we still didn't see the body. All right, I'm sticking to it. We've seen it too many times in other fiction. If you don't, hell, it happened in War of the Bounty Hunters. After I read the first comic, I thought Zuckuss was dead and Forlom's dead, but they weren't. We never saw the body. They all came back. So just, I don't know. I guess I'm holding out a little hope that the warrior woman at minimum is going to come in at a poignant moment, maybe even in the present timeline, and kind of do like a huzzah, like, ha, I'm here, motherfucker, like comes at the last second and whacks someone that's about to take out Boba. I don't know. They could all be dead, sure. I know the gaffy sticks are symbolic to the person, but we only saw the chieftain's body. I'll leave it at that. What do you think, Nick? Are they all dead? Am I reading too much into fiction rules here?
I mean, in Star Wars, it's definitely a rule that if you don't see the body, then you're likely going to see them again. I mean, like we saw that with fucking, what's his name, with Palpatine and Ben Solo. And
come on. If they can fucking bring Palpatine back at this point, anyone can come back. Come on.
So it doesn't really matter. But I don't think that, like, for me, I think that they've served their purpose, honestly. Like, would it be cool? Like, would I say, oh no, don't bring her back if the warrior woman did come back and then she ends up being like one of his, chief bodyguards or something like that? Totally fine. But I also think that if they left it this way, then I would be totally fine.
Just clarifying again for in the chat, the chief stick was the bigger one with the 4 prong, or it has multiple prongs on it. It looks more like a staff than a gaffy stick. So the chiefs clearly went in, then the straight pointed one went in, then he pulled out the kids from his robe. I don't know. I feel like the warrior, I don't know, might have a little comeback moment.
Yeah, definitely possible, and I would be all for it. I'd be all for it for sure. But I'm okay because here's the Tuskens were a means to an end. Like the Tuskens were never going to be an end game or even part of an end game for Boba. Like, we know that the story was going to progress past them, and I think that if they left it this way, then they did enough to.
Yeah, no. I mean, I kind of put it out there maybe after episode 1 or 2 is like, hey, in the present timeline, based on what he's done for all the Tuskens and what he's trying to do, maybe he'll have a little Tusken army that could come in, and that might still be the case if the warrior lived, right? Like if the warrior lived and went around to the other tribes talking about the great bald man that they ran into, the outsider that became one, I guarantee you she could drum up a following that would support her and supporting him. So I'm not fully giving up on Warrior Woman being gone, but if she is, Nick is correct. They have played their role in the plot, 100%. Because as we see this quick vision end in this episode, I mean, he's moving on. And I think from here, we probably get him, and this, I'm still kind of tossing around my head like, all right, how does he get tracked in on Fennec in season 1 of The Mandalorian? And I think he really is just out and about in his territory and probably heard the shenanigans going on, and he went in to investigate. I don't think he would have had a reason to be tracking Din during the season 1 events of The Mandalorian. Because I even went back. I was like, well, why was Fennec on Mos Eisley on Tatooine in The Mandalorian? And we learned from, what's his name, Talico or Route, that shithead bounty hunter guy, wannabe bounty hunter from Mando. Mm-hmm. He's like, nah, she's wanted by the New Republic, and she's been hiding out on Tatooine. So she was literally just chilling there. Trying to not get killed. So, Boba Fett, he wouldn't know about that bullshit. I mean, maybe he heard about an assassin out in the Dune Sea, but I really think he just kind of stumbles upon her carcass through his normal rounds of living out in the desert. I really think he probably doesn't start tracking Din until season 2. But we're going to get this shit in a flashback. I just know it. I mean, Nick called it. That's where Din and Grogu come into the book of Boba Fett. I just believe it's going to be their season 2 adventures on Tatooine versus season 1. Because I'm outside of him just hearing like, hey, there's a Mandalorian in Mos Pelgos, or there's a Mandalorian just in Mos Eisley. All right, maybe he would be interested, but I don't know. I don't see the motivation for tracking bounty hunters. Because he's not an idiot. He knows he couldn't take on a Mandalorian in full Beskar in his fucking gaffy stick setup. Yeah. If he thought he could do that, he would have done that in episode 6 when he actually confronts Mando. He would have just jumped at him and tried to take it. He knew, like, all right, I gotta ask this guy nicely, because let's be real, even with Fennec, I probably have no fucking chance to get my armor from this guy by trying to kill him. It just it wouldn't work. So I don't know. What do you think? Do you think Boba just kind of stumbles on Fennec in his territory, or is there some sort of, hey, there's bounty hunters here looking for someone, I want to go check this shit out?
Yeah, I mean, I still think that it's going to be pretty similar to what we talked about before, where he's going to essentially see, like, for me, like, showing Peli in the background was almost a confirmation of kind of, what we talked about before, where he hears like, oh, there's a Mandalorian on planet, because like Mandalorians aren't all that common at this point in time. Not at all. During the,
I don't want to cut you off. Sorry, but there's actually, I think Connor here, press play, has a decent idea here. Maybe he gets turned on to Din because of Din is kind to Tuskens too. I don't know. I mean, that may travel. Like, hey, there was a warrior here talking with us, looking for somebody. I don't know, but the other one,
but he was tracking Din. Well, he says and helped him with the crate dragon, but he was tracking Din before the crate dragon stuff. So yeah, I mean, it could be that. But that's the thing, is like Tusken, do we even know if like Tusken tribes communicate with each other? Like, was this tribe in communication with any other tribes? If there were survivors, if the warrior did survive, then yeah, like you could get out that, hey, this guy is a friend of Tusken's, and look, maybe he can link up with another band, and then they can tell him about Din. That would be one way, but that would assume that there were survivors of the massacre. But the only other way that I see him really getting mixed up with Din is like, he has to see something, because he doesn't have friends now. Like, he doesn't have somebody that's going to tell him like, hey, I saw some guy walking around with Mandalorian armor and Mos Pelgo. Like, he doesn't have sources of information, so he has to find this shit himself. So that's what I think. So,
and Kingdom in the chat bringing it up here, I think it makes sense. I mean, honestly, by the time he does find Fennec, he has been in the desert for 5 or 6 years. 100%. Yeah, 100%. Because that is the Mando timeline, is 5, 6 years, I think sometimes 7. You never really know the exact time. But, I mean, when he was rolling through Mos Eisley, that very well could have been multiple years past Return of the Jedi at that point.
Yeah. I mean, I was always one to say from the beginning that they haven't really done a good job of establishing timeline in the past. But as if we're to assume that he got out of the Sarlacc pit within a day of him actually falling in it, then yeah, he was there for 5 to 7 years.
No, I'm down with it. I really do. I think he was set on hanging out with these people. He found the family. Yeah. It was good enough. It was giving him what he needed. He was still kind of, he could still rough people up for tributes, but he also had that family structure that I do think he has been looking for ever since Mace Windu decapitated his father.
Yeah, definitely.
It'll be interesting. So yeah, I mean, I do think the flashbacks moving forward, if not the one we saw in episode 3, is right in the Mando timeline or butting up right to it, 100%.
Yeah, because I mean, it would be odd. Like, again, like, we don't know. Did this massacre happen 2 years down the road? Did it happen 6 months down the road? We don't know. Like, we have no idea when this takes place. It seems like this is the first time that he was going to collect from the Pikes, because if it wasn't the first time, then they wouldn't be like, well, we're already paying somebody else.
True.
So
that was a good point. So, but like, even then, the train attack could have been a year,
3 years
after he was pulled out of the pit. I mean, they could have made him sit in that white jumpsuit for 3 years.
Yeah, just like, learning. Who the fuck knows?
Yeah, learning. So, would you be? I know sometimes people get disappointed, but would you prefer if they actually put like present? I mean, the present we know, but if they did like a kind of closed captioning 5 years ago, 4 years ago, 3 years ago.
No, I think that would be okay. And if people got pissed off about that, then I don't really give a fuck. But it would help to give you a little bit of context in terms of timeline, because it's hard to tell, because they didn't de-age him and they chose to just keep him looking pretty much the same from now.
Yeah, I mean, he gets, let's be real, he gets his eyebrows back and a better tan in the present timeline, and a few less scars than what we see in the flashbacks.
Yeah, I mean, I would have been fine. Or even if they would have done it in terms of like, like giving you small updates on like what's happening in the universe to give you perspective, like if they said something, or if he heard something about like, hey, Imperial Remnant, or,
well, like they did in Mando with Cobb Vance's backstory. I think that's exactly what you're looking for, right? They do like a doodle-doo, but they show people celebrating the second Death Star blowing up. So you instantly know in your head, all right, bang, that's it. Luke literally is just wheeling out of the Death Star on a shuttle with his dead dad. Lando's shooting out of the fucking hole after they just blew it up. Yeah, I get you. Yeah. That's probably the way to do it. Like, incorporate an in-world event that clearly defines what era or a general timeline. I like it.
Yeah.
Sign this kid up. Hey, Favreau, sign this kid up. If they would have shown
off in the... Because, like, look, when the Death Star exploded, we were led to believe that could be seen from, like, everywhere. They saw it in the core worlds. They saw it everywhere. So even if they would have shown that, like, they look up at one point and they're like, holy shit, what was that? And you see like this big explosion.
Man, that thing would have to been the size of like a galaxy for the whole galaxy to see it blow up.
Yeah. But it's like, from what we saw, like everybody, they saw it on fucking Naboo. Like, so if something as simple as that, like he may not have known, like he would look up and see like, well, what the fuck is that? But like for us,
I get
like, we
it.
would
Yeah.
go like, oh shit.
That'd probably be like the cheekiest way to do it, without just being 4 years ago. You just be like, all right, I like that, but hey, we're clearly not getting it, so we can go fuck ourselves. So this is where I'm going to kind of go on with Boba. I can't make the connection to him tracking Din in season 1 of The Mandalorian. It doesn't line up. Like, what would he get out of it? Because he's not going to pry the armor off of him if his intention was, I want some armor back. It just, no fucking way. You're not going to have an unarmored person pry off the armor of a fully trained Death Watch member of Mandalorian society. It's not going to happen. I don't care how fucking badass he is with that gaffy stick. It would just sound like this. Clink, 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 clink. I mean, Nick's favorite thing to say about Din is he's a bullet sponge, and he would be just as big of a sponge for a gaffy stick. So why would he be tracking him? It doesn't make sense. I'm going to have a feeling in the flashback, we truly just see him roll up on the scene because it's taken part in whatever territory he's been chilling at. And when he finds her and brings her back to life and learns what the fuck's going on, I think that's when he's like, all right, let's get to it. Maybe Fennec's the one that tells him about Cobb Vanth, because that's the other thing we kind of need to figure out. How does he know that Cobb Vanth was the one that had the armor?
Yeah,
because he knows that Din got the armor from Cobb Vanth. I mean, I believe he even mentions Cobb Vanth. Correct?
Yeah.
Am I correct or am I not?
I'm pretty sure he says he mentions Cobb Vanth by name.
So he does know that he has it, and he knows that Din comes in possession of it. But notice he waits until Din leaves planet to try and get it. So I'm thinking he doesn't even try to go back to get the Slave One until the second season of Mandalorian, and he knows for a fact that dude with a Razor Crest and a little green guy just got my armor. I need to go get it.
Yeah, so it almost seems like he's more tracking Cobb Vanth than he was Mando.
There could be that, but the other thing, Nick, we learned that he tracked the Razor Crest. So did he go to Mos Eisley? Did he know from season 1 that this guy is coming here? Maybe this could be his ticket to getting some armor back. I don't know. I'm really fucked up over this at this point. I don't know. I'm losing it.
It is a little confusing, but I think now the opportunity for him to go to Mos Eisley is way more likely, because he's on his own again. There's nowhere for him to go, and he probably knows Mos Eisley better than Mos Espa at this point in his life. So he's probably going back there and is like, look,
it is a hive of scum and villainy, and that's perfect for him.
So he's like, if I'm going to know anybody on this planet, it's going to be Mos Eisley, and this is where I left my ship. So let's see if maybe we can get a little bit of familiarity.
I don't need a deep dive into this, but I do hope, at least for my own sanity, that they iron out like how he, gets wind of Din and why he ends up at the Battle of Fennec Shand. We'll just call it that. As of today, I don't know shit. I'm gonna go with just kind of making his rounds and he comes up on it. I don't know. It's fucking with me. I'm failing I'm usually good at this stuff, but this one I'm drawing blanks. So we're just gonna move on.
Yeah.
Moving on. Okay, there's the dead chief. See, right there, if you're on the live stream, see, his gaffy stick is very pronounced. It's more of a staff than a stick, so his definitely went in the fire. And like I said, you're looking at this one here, and it's got just a non-pronged tip. Probably not the right way to describe it, but it's a non-pronged tip. And if we're saying that's the Warriors, I don't know. I thought she had the traditional prong on the end. And then, the sad pull and look and solemn reflection of the child Tusken's little stick. Rest in peace, little guy, if you're truly dead. All right. So here's one I kind of ate up some of our speculation nonsense there because I'm just spinning my wheels on what we see Boba next and how he gets keyed into both Fennec Shand and where his armor's at. But this whole break-in by Chrysanthemum, dude, did it send off any alarms in your head? Were you like, okay, you see how up Boba's ass Fennec is for most of the episode, and like, hey, I got your back, I'm here, and I'm your number 2. And then somehow a big 7-foot+ tall, hairy son of a bitch stealths his way all the way up to Boba's room. We gotta remember, Boba's in one of those like silos in the palace. Like, he's up there. So unless this motherfucker had a grappling hook and climbed his fat ass up the outside of the tower and jumped into Boba's window, how does he get into the palace unnoticed, in particular by a master assassin, Fennec Shand? So
I mean, for me, that's easy to explain, but you go on first.
I'm starting to feel, and I think Press Pause, aka Connor, said something similar. I'm starting to feel that, yeah, she is kind of getting tired of the new Boba, like a lot of Star Wars fans, in quotes, fans. And she does have something up her sleeve to either, usurp him or deliver what a bigger power out there wants. Could she be working directly for Crimson Dawn? Does she have her own aspirations to take over now that she realizes that Boba doesn't want to get tough? Because you got to be honest, anytime he goes soft, she gives him side eye like, what? What? Like, this would be so much easier if we just fucking shooting people. Like, what are you doing? So there's a part of me, knowing who she is, and even if you look at the end of the fight, he's hanging on the ledge. The cyberpunks could have sat there and taken pot shots at him and murdered the motherfucker. What does she do? She throws a fucking knife at his hand so he falls down. Little curious that a big guy like this can get in there all the way up to Lord Fett, beat his ass for a little bit, would have killed his ass if it wasn't for, what's her name, Scad.
I mean,
showing up and stabbing him in the kidney.
He would have killed him if he just would have kept choking him. I mean, that was very much a movie scene. Like, if we want to ground this in real life, he's dead before he even gets out the water. Oh, yeah, come on.
We can't. I mean, we can't. I mean, a Wookiee against a non-Beskar wearing human, it goes nowhere. But what,
also, like when he bit, like when Chrysanthemum bit his hand, he would have bit his fucking whole hand off. Like, there was a lot in that fight that it's like, okay, I know that you're like suspending disbelief because this is Star Wars.
I don't know. I thought Tem did great acting when he was bending his big toe up when he was getting that bear hug. He's like, and you see his little big toe pop up like,
But I mean, my explanation is pretty straightforward. The guy's hired by fucking Jabba the Hutt's nephews. They probably know this palace. They probably been to this palace.
Like some secret entrance.
It's a huge fucking palace. They've been there for 2.5 weeks. They don't even know how half the shit in there works.
Yeah.
And so they could just be like, yeah, there's a fucking back door. Just go in that way. Like, to me, that's probably the most likely thing, but it's also not out of the realm of possibility that Fennec is.
I just have a feeling that she's going to do something, and it's going to be out of spite in how he is choosing to rule. There were hints of it in their interviews. Like, she's like, yeah, we're anti-heroes, and hey, I mean, they're cordial to each other, but they are these people that they were for the most part. Anti-heroes are usually in it for themselves more than other people. I honestly think Boba, that might have been a smokescreen. He may be moving towards, I hate to say this, but more of a heroic character.
I mean, I think that there's still gonna be, like, I feel like if anything, he's moving away from a villain and towards an anti-hero. That's kind of the big thing that we see now, because like a crime, like a benevolent crime lord is still a crime lord.
Yeah, you're very correct.
And it's like,
it's an oxymoron for sure. Like, he's a crime boss, but he's a really nice guy.
But he's nice, and look, and then like that's what they're trying to show you with the gang is like, yeah, he could easily come in, be shithead just like all the rest of them, and shit on all the little people around here. That was the whole scene with the gang and stuff. Like, but he's taking a different approach. Instead of being a crime lord who's like, yeah, fuck all the little people and let the big corporations, aka the vassals, profit from this. he's going to be the type of crime lord that says, hey, look, we're going to be ruthless, and we're going to do things that a typical crime syndicate does, but the people who are going to benefit from this are going to be different than the people who were benefiting when Boba or when Jabba was around, or when Bib Fortuna was running stuff. So it doesn't have to be like, very much people always look at things in black or white, like, oh my God, he's being nice to those people, he's a hero. This isn't the Boba Fett that I remember. It's like, you can be nice to people and still be an anti-hero, or you can still be a villain. Like, you don't need to be mean to everybody that you see, or
he just really hasn't showcased any selfishness so far outside of the stinger where he walks in and murders everybody and takes the throne. I mean, outside of that, he doesn't want to eat all the food he has. He's not his vassals, he's not taking all their money, he's not killing people that piss him off. So I don't know. I just, the whole Chrysanthemum thing, getting in there so easy peasy, Fennec throwing darts and not just wanting to shoot him in the face.
I can see why she wouldn't kill him though, because now she's like, we got a bargaining chip. Like, we have
true.
Like, you just like his.
And they tried it, but the twins were like, "Hey, fuck you. We don't care. Keep him. He's yours now. Like, he's a slave essentially. You keep him."
Yeah, like I don't think that they expected like them to pull out that easy. And I'm not saying that it is going to be that easy. Like, I don't think that the twins are completely finished with this either. But it's weird. It wasn't weird to me that they chose not to kill him straight up.
Yeah, so I don't know. I don't sleep on Fennec having a double heel turn. I mean, she's already kind of a heel, but I could see her possibly betraying her boy after not really loving how he is choosing to rule.
Yeah. And I think that, like, at the end when they let Chrysanthemum go, like, that is, of course Boba would do that. Mm-hmm. Like, Chrysanthemum is a bounty hunter. Boba used to be a bounty hunter.
He says as much. I mean, he gives him a little life lesson. He's like, don't work for shitheads. I forget the slang he used, but he's like, don't work for skag holes or something like that.
Yeah, it's like,
he's like, trust me, dude, from a former bounty hunter, don't work with skag holes. And Chrysanthemum looks at him like, what the fuck is this? I like how he runs away. He's like, feet don't fail me now. He's like,
he's like, running, and they're like, dude, you're free to go. He's like, look,
Boba might have said I'm gone, but that Fennec is always giving side eye. She might just shoot me in the back of my head, so I'm running.
Yeah, so I thought that was a good mark, because it continues to give you what Boba was like. That's bounty hunter life. It's like, hey, look, man, you were paid to kill me. You tried your best, didn't happen, but hey, no hard feelings. You get on out of here. Like, I don't see.
I'm being told that I'm giving too much credit for the what I guess I'm portraying as intelligent writing in this show. I don't know. I mean, like I said, we have a piece coming up here after the breakdown where Ming-Na Wen herself says, like, just chill out, people. John and Dave, they're masters here. They're laying the groundwork. You don't even know what they're laying, and when you see it, you're gonna want to rewatch the whole series because it's gonna be completely different to you now. So I'm just, I'm holding out. I don't know. There's something about the Chrysanthemum attack, the way Fennec has been acting, especially in this episode, the side eyes. I don't know. I don't know. There's a lot of goofy shit going on. All right, so I was glad to see the twins again so soon. I do. These are becoming some of my favorite Hutts. I like their dynamic with each other, how they're almost, one brain with two mouth holes. And then you gotta love the honesty of Hutts, though. I mean, they just come right out and said, "Hey, pal, we fucked up. We sent him to kill you. Sorry. To make up for it, we're gonna give you a Rancor. We good? Okay, great. We'll also give you Chrysanthemum if you want them. Fuck them. We don't care. But we're getting the hell out of here." But really, the key moment of this scene is you get to learn a little bit more about what McCheese is up to here. So he's playing all sorts of people at this point. I mean, in episode 2, he's like, "Hey, go to Garza's and you'll learn what's really going on." And that's where the twins get introduced. And then you think it's the twins that are the big to-do, the ones fucking with Boba. And now just in episode 3, they're coming back saying, "Hey, listen, this mayor's a shithead. Even for our type, he's a dick. He's promised your territory and our territory to another syndicate." And then they give him Chrysanthemum. And I wouldn't be surprised if Boba's leniency on Chrysanthemum leads to a team up or a help out in the future either. Like, I feel like that was almost I did you a favor. When I'm in need, maybe you'll have my back type of moment here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I don't know. I love the twins. They're fantastic. I'm sad to see them go, but they did give us some good information. I mean, and I know Nick's saying like, and he could be right. They could definitely be blowing smoke, but they essentially tell Boba like, listen, this shit's getting to be too much work for us. It's bad for business what the mayor's doing and this other syndicate he's got going on. So if I were you, make like us and get the fuck out of here. Like, it ain't worth it, bro. Like, you don't even know what's coming down the pike here. Just give up. It's not worth it. And, you know, I'll talk about this more later, but we know the Hutts aren't scared of the fucking pikes, okay? Like, if anyone thinks the pikes revealed midway through the show are the big bad, you're on crack. It almost is making me feel better about my CD theory, which at times I'm like, no, this ain't going to work out based on the comics, but no way 2 Hutts are going to be scared of the pikes. The pikes have never caused fear for anyone. They've always been the syndicate that almost needs other syndicates to kind of be their heavies. You know, that's why they went in league with Maul, because they knew Maul could get shit done and people were scared of him. So I'm predicting right now, not that this should be a surprise considering I threw the speculation out weeks before the show aired, the pikes aren't the end all be all. They're not the big scary syndicate that the Hutts are afraid of. But I still like the knowledge dumps they gave us.
Yeah. Yeah, it was good. I mean, we'll see. It also seems like the twins in general are just like lazy and they're like, oh, it's hard, so I don't feel like fucking with this anymore. It could be that too, but yeah, I don't think that the pikes are the end game. It's
like this mayor is clearly a little more troublesome than I think we all expected. But, you know, from the leak, he was kind of positioned as the main adversary early on, and then a big bad does come in. But Mayor Mokshay's he's got a few more layers than he was presented to have, of just sitting on a nice little throne. I mean, this guy's scheming against Hutts. He's scheming against Lord Fett. He clearly has a plan, but I also think he has a backing. And, you know, CD, Crimson Dawn. Still doesn't make sense based on the comics, considering she didn't want to be like the #1 crime syndicate. She just wanted to take down the Sith, but I'm sticking to it. I really do believe Crimson Dawn will be revealed to be the main force here. I'm still not sure why they want to fuck with Boba Fett outside of Kira just having a hard-on for what he did to Han, but I don't know. Like I said, that was not her main goal, at least through the first issue of Crimson Reign. But I'm not going to give up on that speculation, because if I win, it's going to be one of the greatest Hail Mary speculations of all time. I'll go down in history of the most unviewed and most who gives a shit Star Wars fan personality on the internet, and that's what I strive to be. We talked about the giving the Wookiee up and him looking at him, so I do think that was kind of all right, if shit happens in the future and I need you, I won't even charge you for it type of deal. Like, all right, I get you, Boba. You know, we're both kind of cocksuckers, or we're cocksuckers, but you're an honorable cocksucker. Running away. All right. I know a lot of people hated this moment too, and I said it earlier, but I just absolutely love the Boba loves his Rancor scene. I thought it was great. I love the way Tim played it. Like I said, I'm an animal guy myself, so I completely related to all of it, and just almost the instant bond and love that Boba had for this Rancor. So hopefully we get a name next episode, but if anything, this clearly confirms that we're getting the riding scene. I mean, at this point, it's unavoidable. He even asks, hey, teach me to ride this shit.
Yeah, can I ride
Just straight up. Like, they're not even fucking around. It's like, yeah, it's going to happen. It probably will be finale-esque. That may be the wow moment we talked about last week. But yeah, I mean, come on. It's as good as done at this point in time. Do you think he's going to like paint it up and put like some tribal paint on it, or maybe get it some new armor? Or he's just going to roll out as is?
I hope he puts some stuff on it to like make it, his own.
Paint like a big ass fucking mythosaur on its stomach or something. But he doesn't give a fuck about Mandalorian culture. He's not one. And here we go. The infamous speeder chase scene. Whatever. We've said our piece on this. It looked awful. I'm not going to lie. I mean, come on. I I do question how the people behind this show looked at that and said, yeah, this isn't going to get anyone to make fun of us. Let's do it. It looks good.
Yeah. Like, it just feels odd coming from Robert, you know? Like,
well, I know you don't see a lot about the critiques, but they're like, oh, Spy Kids. Because if you watch, I've had to watch Spy Kids because my kid likes them.
I've never seen
it's all. I mean, dude, it's just like the visuals are so bad. I mean, it's like they don't even care that they're shooting on green screen and they have to pretend. They're just like, sit on it. It's gonna look fake. Who gives a shit? And that's what happened in this episode. They're like, yeah, the bikes are real, but when we take out the wheels and shit, it's gonna look like you're going 2 miles an hour. All right, so
yeah, I don't know, man. It's weird. So like, maybe they didn't see it after they had put it into like after they had done post on it, because it's hard to judge. Like, I don't know. I'm trying to give like some kind of justification, but it's like, it's hard to judge speed when all you're referencing it to is a green screen.
Yeah.
But as soon as you put it into perspective with everything there, and like they're passing like stationary objects.
Yeah, that's the thing speed. Though. This isn't the volume. This is that backlot set in LA. So there were practical sets there, and it just, I don't know. They're like, hey, well, fuck it, American Graffiti, yeah.
It was. It was. I mean,
good.
I could see it. Like, it would have been cool if it was fast. Of course. Like, I don't give a shit about the color of the speed. Like, all the people who are complaining about the color of the speeders are the people who are literally the ones that I like called out last episode. It's just like, if that's the shit that you care about, then God, I wish that there's something in your life that's a little bit more important to you than this. Like, it just doesn't matter. Like,
and that's what I've been trying to say.
Green is that much of a fucking offense to you, then I really feel sorry for the rest of your life.
Okay, thank you.
Like,
at least you're saying it this time and not me, because I always get labeled as the angry shithead here. So I'm glad you're letting a little more of the dark side into your system.
No, dude, it's like it's so nitpicky and shit that doesn't matter. Like, I 100% agree that like it looked like shit because they were going so slow, and it's like, especially the parts where they're like jumping stuff.
Oh my god!
It's like you're jumping something, but you have no speed to actually make a jump. Like, I could run faster than these speeders. That's my problem with it. If your problem is some fucking colors, then like, dude.
Reading it, there was an interview with Sophie Thatcher, because I guess she's kind of becoming a thing now, not only from Book of Boba, but apparently this Yellow Jacket show is kind of taken off as like maybe a new sensation to watch. I don't know if that's Showtime or whatever, but she said that like they were either on a rig, or it sounded like the fucking scooters actually had wheels and the actors were riding around on them, but it's just like they forgot to hit fast forward. I mean, for Christ's sakes, they make the trench run look like Luke's going fast in 1977.
1977.
And that's just a static model with like a screen whipping by it real quick. I don't know. It's like, and I'm with you. And I opened up kind of the critique of the episode with like, I get it. It looked like vomit, but it has no effect on the story for me. I don't care. Yeah, can we sit there and make fun of it? Sure. But it didn't get me angry. It didn't ruin the lore that was built up or added to the character of Boba Fett.
I mean, like, if that's what made you hate an episode that featured a cool fight scene with Black Chrysanthemum, that featured him getting his Rancor, that featured the slaughter, like the death pyre of the Tusken family,
world
that
building,
he made,
people, world building.
Like, all of that shit is in this one episode, and like, you have something that is literally paint on speeders and they're going a little slow. If that like wrecks this whole series for you, then like maybe you should get another hobby to complement Star Wars. Like, maybe you should invest time in something else so you have more energy to, like, since you have so much energy to put towards hating the color of a speeder, take some of that extra energy, play a video game, read a book series, find a new movie series that you can get into.
Put the social media down. It's not good. It's not good for any of our brains. I wish I could disconnect from it. I hate it. I'm like Nick. I wish I could be Nick. I really do. But I guess someone's got to fuck around on this stuff for the Star Wars Time show, so I take it for the team. But it does get nauseating. And yes, you could say I'm an asshole too, the way I used to talk about Boba Fett, but did I ever say that because Boba Fett was a bozo, it ruined Empire Strikes Back or Return of the Jedi? No. I just called it out for what it is. Him dying looks just as dumb as these fucking speeder bikes. Challenge me. Challenge. You tell me Boba Fett dying in Return of the Jedi doesn't look any more silly than the fucking speeder chase? Come on. Come on. The most feared bounty hunter in the galaxy literally gets jacked in the rocket by a blind guy and goes dead. Come on. But really the reason we're looking at this is we finally get from the Major Domo some actual information. And he says, yeah, the mayor is kind of being a dickhead. He's in leagues with the Pikes. And then that's what we get them showing up on that. Now we know what that ship was called, a Starliner, right? So they roll in, and then at the end, Fennec's like, uh-oh. Drax calls in like, hey, boss, they're coming in. They're first wave, this, that, and the other thing. All right, then we'll prepare for war. So there you go. The Book of Boba Fett, S1E3, broken down ad nauseum by your two bros at the Star Wars Time Show. Love us or hate us. We're just, we do this for fun. I do still enjoy Star Wars. I can be critical about it. But visuals really will never break the franchise for me in any way. So I'm not going to go. I'm not going to hit below the belt like Nick was saying and calling you a bunch of idiots and you need to get new hobbies. But he's not wrong.
I mean, it's just, I've gotten to the point with the fandom to where it's like, it's just painful. Like, it's just painful. And like, I've been somebody who's loved Star Wars for over 20 years of my life.
Hey, I can, like, this is I can tell though, like these years, I don't know if it's me or doing the show, but I can see Nick is at the end of his fucking rope. Like there could be one Tuesday where I show up and there's no more Nick head. Cause he's just gonna be like, you know what, dude, fuck this shit. The fans blow. The show's stupid anyways. No one listens to us. I'm just going to keep working and try to make a few more bucks on Tuesdays versus talking about this nonsense that everyone says they love, but they actually hate. and I get it.
Look, I told Matt this in our pre-show. if the release schedule that we talked about last week is true, it could very well kill the whole franchise.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because if you did listen last week, our boy Gregu sent a supposed schedule, and it does kind of line up. Like I do think the flow works. The dates may be wrong now though, because we did get the Moon Knight trailer today, and Moon Knight is dated for March 30th. So if they're dropping a trailer for Moon Knight that's supposed to be out in March, there's probably no fucking chance in hell that Kenobi is coming in February. So I do think that schedule is probably fucked up. We know we're getting all these shows. I just the rollout is definitely skewed.
Yeah. I mean, I'll give you my perception or my opinion on why it would kind of wreck the franchise. There's already a lot of negativity around even the new shows. Like, people weren't huge fans of Bad Batch. People are already starting to turn on this show. And if you literally have a year where you have an unbroken line of shows coming out that are almost all new content, like none of them will be picking up from where something left off that was already, like, people were already a big fan of, other than Bad Batch season 2. You're getting into an area to where you're oversaturating your landscape by not having breaks between your content releases, and the fact that all of the content is the same type of content, where for me, if you have 5 pieces of content coming out and 3 of them are shows, where you have like 1 show per quarter, or, like 1 show for every 4 months of the year, not per quarter, because obviously quarters are 4s. But if you had 3 shows, then you had a video game, then you had a movie, that is like a perfect content release schedule, because you're getting something for every type of media that you can have for Star Wars. But as it is now, we're going on 3 years without a movie. We're going on 3 years without a video game. And we're completely putting all of our eggs into the show basket, which has worked out so far when it was just season 7 of Clone Wars and then Mandalorian. But as we start adding more in, people are starting to turn on the show side of things, just like they started to turn on the movie side of things.
He's not wrong, people. I don't like what he has to sell, but he is not wrong. He's not wrong.
If you don't see it, then you're blinding yourself. Like, it's so clear.
But is that still just shitheads? Because, I mean, for someone like me, I'm never going to be unhappy knowing we're getting 3 or 4 live action Star Wars shows in a calendar year. And if they are spaced out, which I think they're end up going to be versus what we talked about last week, I don't think that's that big of a deal. I mean, Marvel, they've done it. They've been doing it for decades now. They'll roll out 3 movies, and now, hell, they're rolling out 3 or 4 movies in addition to 3 or 4 shows. And that seems to work. But we know Marvel fans clearly aren't as fucking crazy as Star Wars fans.
Marvel is also way more broadly appealing than Star Wars. Because it's grounded in real life. Like, the reason that, like,
real enough
my
life.
parents can watch it. Yeah, real enough life. Like, shit is set in New York City, in real places and stuff like that. So, like, when my parents, like, you know, if my parents watch Marvel who would, like, never watch Star Wars, like, they can get into it. But it's like, it's the shitheads in the fan base and stuff like that. But we saw what happened when shitheads were loud.
You're right. They reacted to it. I mean, I still think Kathy and them doing what they did with their movie plans was horrendous. Fuck the idiots. You know, who gives a shit? They're going to hate anything at this point you put out. Like, I mean, there's a large group of or who knows how large they are. There's a vocal group of the fandom that it will never enjoy anything Disney does just because it's Disney. So.
But it's like, it's also filtering into our stuff. Like, we have like a slice of the Star Wars fandom that listens to us, a very small slice. And we can see, like, you people may think that we just come on here, talk about shit and then go away. But, like, over the 6 years, actually more than 6 years, over the 7 years that we've been doing this show, like, we have seen just the people who tune into us, them get jaded. Their perceptions change. Them start to feel entitled to the stories that they want to see rather than the stories that are being made. Like, so it's not like I'm just pulling the shit out of nowhere.
No,
like, our chat
don't
has
yell
changed.
at me, man. I said you're right. I said you're right. I don't like what you're selling, but you're not wrong. Hey, watch out. He's got the flamethrower out again, people. Watch out.
But I mean, and just in like a marketing sense too, is like you never want to oversaturate your product.
Which is why I think that schedule is horseshit then. Because like if Kenobi really was coming out in February and there still isn't a trailer or anything, it's just a placeholder on Disney Plus. It doesn't line up. But who knows? And if people hate Kenobi, then they just hate Star Wars. Because I don't know how you could hate Kenobi's it's OT. It's essentially Skywalker Saga. We're back in the Skywalker Saga, even though the Skywalker Saga was supposed to end in 2019. We're right back the fuck in it. So if people go ape shit over Kenobi, then you know all is lost, Nick. All is lost. There will never be another movie, and who knows what's going to happen here. But
we'll see.
Yeah, man, I'm here I enjoy it as much as I used to shit on the prequels. I still saw every one of them multiple times in theaters, bought every fucking toy poster. It doesn't matter. As much as I shit on Boba Fett, I probably have more Boba Fett figures than any other character in my collection. So just because I hate on stuff, it usually is. And my big beef with the prequels is the same thing we're kind of chastising people for now is I wrote the story of Anakin Skywalker in my head before I saw George's version. And while I think his version could have been a lot better, thank God we've been able to kind of rewrite some of it with new properties, mostly Clone Wars, Rebels, and Bad Batch.
I mean, I think that all of us are guilty of doing it at a certain point. Like, I remember, like, go back and listen to the podcast when the sequel trilogy was still in development. Like, I always talked about, like, this is what I want. I want to see the brother-sister thing between Rey and Kylo. I like that from the old EU and stuff like that. And then when it didn't happen, like, I didn't turn into a blubbering piece of garbage who said that everything sucked. But, like, it's like that experience stopped me from doing that again. Like, it stops me from saying, like, hey, this is what I want to happen in Book of Boba Fett, or this is what I want to happen in Kenobi. Like, I'm moved past that because regardless of what your mental state is like when you build up a story in your head and it doesn't come true, there is always a little bit of like, oh, I wish. Yeah, like I wish what I like. This was cool, but I still think that what I wrote.
Dude, it just happened to me, and I'm way late to this party. Great show, great season, but I just finished True Detective season 3, and the finale to me was a letdown. I was like, what? But I had it going this way. And same shit. So I get it, and don't get me wrong, I'm probably still going to tell you, a lot of you, that your opinions are wrong, and I will not practice what I preach, but that's just the nature of the Star Wars Time Show, my friends. That's just the nature of the Star Wars Time Show. We like to get a little goofy here. So, wow. What a deep dive there. So real quick, before we move on, I'm thinking tomorrow, or whenever you're listening to this, whenever episode 4 comes out, we are going to get the dinner table scene where Boba meets with the vassals. Will he drop him down the hatch? We know there's a fucking Rancor down there now, so who knows? Maybe one of them will go down there if they don't comply. And I do think in the past we are going to get the Boba meets Fennec backstory, and we'll kind of see where it goes from there. And I still love speculating. Speculating doesn't mean I'm believing what I'm writing in my head anymore, but I'm making educated guesses on what we've seen and just kind of seeing how the story is being played out, both visually and narratively. So I'm still sticking with my... really, the only speculation that hasn't hit from preseason is Crimson Dawn confirmed. If we get that, I will have went 3 for 3, and I am still expecting all sorts of gifts to be sent to Star Wars Time HQ. I mean, it can be idols of some sort, trophies, medals, plaques, posters. Be like Sean Forney. Send us gifts, okay? Send us gifts, and we don't want to pay you money for them either, all right? So here we go. Well, I'll be up in the early. I'm back at work now. If you notice, I cleaned up my face and went back to the bald look. So tomorrow is going to be a fucking kick in the dick type of day, getting up at 5 or so to get all this done before I have to teach for a few hours. But I'll be there. So if you're not following us on YouTube yet, youtube.com/Star Wars Time Show, you'll probably get the breakdown. I try to have them done by... These days they've been taking a minute because I do like the research, 9:30, 10 East, something like that. Check them out. I want people to check out the breakdowns before we get here, before you start shooting comments at me. Because I am some asshole where I'm like, yo, if I put my thoughts out there and made a video and then you're asking me my thoughts, I'm just going to say, go watch the fucking video. All right? If I took the time to do it, make a stupid ass video, that's where you're going to get my deepest and most poignant thoughts on what I just watched. So watch the breakdowns. All right. Kung Fu, you're still allowed to ask me what I thought, and I won't snap back. I'll actually give you a reply. But anyone else, before you come at me with your own theories, this, that, and the other thing, watch what I had to say. I am still a narcissist. I do still feel... there's slight offense taken when we're in the Discord breaking down the episode, which, come on in. We had like 3 people join over this last week, Nick. Come on into the Discord. You can find it right through our Instagram bio link. But just watch the shit, all right? If I haven't posted the video yet, let's sit there and spitball some theories. But if the video's out there and then we start getting like, hey, did you see this or do you think this is that? Watch the video because I probably did. Okay? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Peacemaker for life. All right, buddy. Let's kind of speed through these other ones. I've been teasing this topic here. This Book of Boba Fett ending will change perception of the show for a while now. And let's actually just read the quote. So this comes from Ming-Na Wen. She was talking to some assholes. It wasn't us, so we don't care. Fuck them, right? That's how we roll at the Star Wars Time Show. If they're not talking to us, all the other people. Uh-oh. I got Leia the fat cat climbing up my back, sticking her fucking... Get down! Oh, you want to sit back there? She likes to sit behind me and probably smell like my swamp ass, so I oblige. But anyways, you've heard me talking about, hey, patience, patience, patience. Let the long game play out. Let the long game play out. And Ming-Na Wen herself pretty much is saying the exact same thing. So in this article that my friend punched up for us here, she says, and I won't do the voice. I know a lot of people didn't like my Ming-Na impression, and I don't want to upset Ming-Na fans because she really is a legend already in Star Wars. You got to love this lady. You got to love the character. I'm sure Kung Fu is working on her in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. She's a new tune. You got the Scion of Django's a new tune. The game's still going. I still play it. It's getting crazy, Nick. You're missing out, but you're not, because you've recaptured at least 3 hours of your day by not playing that fucking game. So, anyways, back to Ming-Na Wen and what she has to say about the finale and how it's going to change some fans' tune, I think. I really hope that... rewind. I really hope that they want to go back, and by they, I think she's directly addressing all the salty motherfuckers out there.
Yeah.
I really hope that they want to go back and see the whole thing over again in a different light after, knowing how things have... I'm so careful with my words here, how things have evolved and all these other elements that have come into play. All right. So she's essentially saying, like, by the end of this may be you may view this show through a completely different lens once you see all of the chess pieces played. You might come back and be like, oh, that's why they showed the speeder scene in slow motion. No, they're not going to fix that. You can't fucking fix that. Yeah. But the other stuff, I think, is what she's hinting at. She then goes on to say, essentially, as Nick put in here, trust John and Dave. And as I have been saying over and over, like, you can't anoint them as gods with Mando and trust them with everything and then come in and say they're assholes and they don't know what they're doing before we've seen the whole show play out. All right. Boba, even more so than the Mando, Nick, don't you agree, is more of just a long form film where Mando felt like it was almost a Miller Time type of show where, yes, you had the overarching plot with Grogu and Mando, but each show kind of resolved its own little issue, where in Boba it's a true long burn. So it really is more like a movie, and we're barely even halfway into it. So
exactly.
Patience. I mean, hell, if we treated the movies that way, a lot of people would be like, damn, Attack of the Clones isn't half bad, right? If you only watch like the first part, you'd be like, hey, it's all right. You didn't get the love scenes, So.
What's funny is, like, going back a few months, not even that long ago, I'm still a big proponent of long form TV over movies. And, it gives more of a time for telling intricate stories and stuff like that. The one thing that I didn't take into account, which you kind of need to now, is that, like, it just gives people more to hate.
Especially in our universe, you were not wrong.
Yeah, in our world, that's what it's turned into. It's like it gives people more to be upset about every episode or something like that. Because if you think about this show is 7 episodes long, and these aren't even an hour each. Like, you're talking 40. 35 each. So
I mean, this one, when I see 38 minutes in the menu, I know we're looking at maybe 34 minutes of content, because with the recap and by the way, I still love Ludwig, and I think the theme song for Book of Boba is kick-ass. Okay. Charlie and I, we were doing comparisons on Friday when I picked her up from school between the Mando charge and the Boba song, and they're just, I love the way that guy, it's at the end where they go like,
I like that. Is that something that people don't like?
That's another thing you missed after the first episode. What the fuck? This fucking theme song. It's like, dude, I'm telling you, it's nonstop. This fucking theme song's bullshit. I like the music better than Mando. It's like, oh my god.
It's so weird. It would be like people who have, like, kind of made their opinions on this show at that point. It would basically be like if you were watching A New Hope for the first time and you turn the movie off before they left Tatooine, and you're like, this movie sucks.
It's fucking boring. Luke's a whiny bitch. Fuck this. Obi-Wan's a crackhead. He's a liar. This show's stupid. I know. No, but the theme song was definitely controversy early on. I don't know if it's gotten better, but I can tell you, doing the experiment with my daughter, there's something about the Mando theme song that gets me, like, emotionally. When it's in, like, the da, 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 like, I still want to get up and start fucking, like, head banging, get a little emotional thinking about, like, some of the save moments from the episode and how I associate that to my own life and my own messed up family stuff. Like Mando's theme song, if we played it, you could probably almost get me tearing up a little bit. It's weird. It's like happy tears because it's like okay, I'll stop. But Boba Fett, it's more like I want to go out and play football again because it is kind of it's got that tribal chanting in it, like the monks, like home, home, oh no, boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, I liked it.
But yeah, well,
that was
I guess we're assholes for liking that too. So.
It's like, can I not like it? It's like, damn.
Trevor makes a good point here in the chat. Sorry, buddy. This was supposed to be a movie at one point in time. So.
I mean, it was supposed to be a movie. And I think that somebody else brought it up in the chat too, is like how much of the original movie idea has carried over from
none at all.
And Kingdom just said that right above 1.6. Like how much of the story has translated over from the. Oh yeah, I'm sure that they took elements. Like obviously the escape from.
Yes, I think Nick. I think that's the only thing they kept. To be honest with you, because.
That might have been it.
Kingdom's hitting on to something here. It's like, all right, once we got Mando off the ground and we soft rebooted Boba and that stinger, yeah, I think that's when they're like, all right, we need to rethink this. Because I think
that the Boba movie that was initially like not even like planned, it was like proposed. Because we have to remember too, there was also a proposed Yoda movie, which could very well have been like Yoda and Grogu. And like
or
they
just
took
bullshit because I forget when we had Vincent on and Neil, like they could confirm 100% they were working on a Kenobi movie asset, but I don't think they never mentioned anything like Boba, so all that could still just be
conjecture,
just bullshit.
Like when you and like when you get like when Disney got the license, they probably had to like, let's do a fucking we're gonna do a Han Solo and we're gonna do a Boba Fett, we're gonna do Yoda,
let's
we're gonna do
the
this,
Larses. It'd be like a movie about Klieg before he got in his accident that put him in a wheelchair and when he found Shmi and all that shit.
You throw out a lot of stuff, but only like a select few things make it into development. With the Boba Fett one, I don't know how far they got into it. I know that like one of the names that was tossed around to direct that was Josh Trank, and then all of a sudden they saw his fucking
he's out of Hollywood at this point in time. Like I don't think the guy's worked again since Fantastic Four.
Yeah, so like he got that very quickly got put to the side. So probably all that carried over was the escape from the Sarlacc.
All right, I guess we'll get off that tangent and back to Ming Na. So remember, trust John and Dave. Here's what she says. She says, that's what's so great with producers Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni. They are so knowledgeable about this world, about Star Wars, and they're such huge fans that they know how to set up the pieces and make moves that you don't even know are coming. They just don't know how fast scooters should look in the Star Wars universe. Okay, she didn't say that. Sorry.
She did say that.
This is what she said. And then suddenly it's like, ooh, checkmate. So yeah, we're waiting. We're waiting for that win. We're waiting for that hit. And not just till the very last episode. Like each and every episode, there's new moves and new elements that come into play that hopefully will surprise the fans. I know it surprised me. Okay? Patience. I'm someone that has none. But I have all the patience in the world for Star Wars storytelling and world building. All right? It's okay.
Takes time.
It's okay to critique shit that looks weird. We did it too. But that doesn't mean the whole series is garbage and Boba Fett has been turned into a pussy. All right? That's ridiculous. Okay.
Far from the truth.
and like I said, I mean, in Dave I trust. In John I trust. They still haven't done anything to me. I mean, if we want to be honest, George Lucas has scarred a lot of us more than these guys have. Like I know you little kids that grew up with the prequels, you don't quite see the issues that I saw as a young man when I watched it. But he fucked me up. The maker himself. I mean, I went into a self-imposed ban on Star Wars all the way until Disney bought it. I mean, yeah, I watched Clone Wars, but I didn't touch the movies. I did not touch the movies until The Force Awakens came out. And I'm like, fuck it. I'm going to do a full rewatch of, and that was the first time since 2005. And you're talking to a guy that sits in his basement and talks about Star Wars for hours on end every week. So trust me, I get it. Might hurt a little bit. Just let things play out. We can do it. Yeah. We can do it. I don't like being positive, but I can be positive about Star Wars. It's like the only thing I can be positive about, especially in this day and age. All right, real quick, comic book time. I'm going to make this fast because I know we're approaching our wall where Nick is ready to walk off the show. You'll see him. You'll just see his chair spinning around. It'll be like just a blank screen there. So Star Wars 20 came out last week, and it's continuing to tell us or show us the ways in which Luke Skywalker trained himself without directly working with a Jedi Master. It's almost like Rey, but fuck her, right? Because we didn't see it on screen. I'm telling you, Luke is getting most of his training through other means than Yoda or Obi-Wan Kenobi. There's no difference. There's no difference. Yeah. How long was Luke on Dagobah? We don't know. How long was Rey on Acto? We don't know. What's the difference between those two training sessions? None. In the end, she gets books and teach herself. Guess what? Luke's doing the same fucking thing, and it's canon, so eat it. Get tired of people shitting on my girl Rey. Hey, her story was handled poorly. I'll give you that. But don't tell me that she couldn't be this Force champion without having years of tutelage. Because where was Luke's? He had 2 minutes on the fucking Falcon with the little ball, right? But a day or two in the hut with Yoda, and he's good to go. Uh-oh, someone's here. We got a special guest. Dad. Where you at, little buddy?
Behind here, trying to find my iPad.
It's upstairs on the table. You left it there last night. You doing your homework?
Yeah.
Good girl. All right. She's got homework in kindergarten. Gotta love it.
Oh, wow.
I make her do it before she can do anything, though, because those are the rules. All right. I feel like I'm doing not a lot of bitching, but just a lot of like, the fans. So anyways, back to Luke. So we learned in 19 that Luke found a holocron, and it was from Yoda. So in this episode, he's still fucking around with the holocron. He's watching it like a big screen TV on a Sunday. It'd be like watching an NFL game. He's checking it out. He's like, R2, this shit sucks. Like, Yoda's telling me the same shit he told me back on Dagobah. This is useless. So Yoda does say something through the recording that leads Luke to like, oh yeah, virgins in the Force. Yeah, I'll check that out. So he goes to this planet Geisen. Okay. I'm guessing that's how you say it. But on this planet, Nick, and it's explained that it's a virgins in the Force to the point to where the planet itself is kind of alive. It's a thing.
Okay.
So Luke lands on the planet, and as soon as he disembarks from his X-Wing, he starts to like sink into it. And he's like getting pulled into this red shit. And then he's just kind of like, he's existing. He's not dying or drowning. He's just like kind of in this place, in this planet. And right away, I see this guy sitting here talking to Luke. And I'm like, is this a High Republic Jedi talking to Luke Skywalker? Not that I know shit about the High Republic, but their get-up is very clear that they're from that era. Like, this is before the Jedi got all slovenly and just wore tunics and robes and shit like that. They had like the nice gold inlay armor and the white robes. And not that I know much about the High Republic, but I got it. So what we learn, and what's kind of neat to me, is that on this planet, it obviously being a virgins in the Force users were attracted to it. The High Republic Jedi that Luke ends up talking to is Elzar Mann, who apparently is a pretty badass in the High Republic era. Not so much like Anakin Skywalker, but he kind of had that slant to him. Not wanting to go the dark side, but was a little more brazen with his abilities and whatnot. And he even says like, hey, your lightsaber looks just like mine, as he is pulling the Skywalker family blade. So Luke Skywalker, we can say officially, even though Elzar Mann, this isn't his being, he's clearly dead. We're talking, the High Republic was hundreds of years prior. But what happens, Nick, when Force users go to this planet, it essentially imprints them for life. Like a copy of them remains in its innards, if you will. So that's how Luke gets to talk to Elzar Mann. And he literally starts having a lesson in the Jedi Order. Like, am I doing this right? What the fuck should I be doing? Who should I be listening to? What type of Jedi should I be? And Elzar kind of takes him on a tour, talks about this. They end up at Acto at the Force Tree. So there's some cool shit there. But one of the cooler moments for you EU bros and Legends lovers is we get what I believe to be the now second canon mention of one Darth Bane. The first canon mention being in the Clone Wars in the Lost season when Yoda actually gets a vision of him. Here, as Elzar Mann is describing to Luke, like, listen, when I was a Jedi, it was the peak of our power. We were the shit. It was centuries after, essentially, we ended the rule of Sith Lord Darth Bane. So that was a nice little nugget, a nice little canon bone, if you will, for those that, want some of the legends to really come back and be recanonized. So now Bane has been doubly canonized. But like I said, the big takeaway from this is Luke Skywalker, not only did he get some training from Yoda in a holocron form, he got some legit advice from a High Republic era Jedi. All right? It's just... it's the bridges we like to see. It's the world building. It's connecting the original with the new. It was cool. It was nice. And it just adds to the layers of Luke Skywalker and how he ultimately learned to be the Jedi Master we come to find him to be in the sequel trilogy. All right, so blame it on Elzar Mann. Maybe he was the one that fucked him up and said, if you fuck up, just go hide on a planet and don't do shit.
Yeah, I would say he showed him that tree, so it's all his fault.
That's the other thing. Like, I don't want to rehash the sequels and lots of people's beef with that and Luke, but what did Obi-Wan Kenobi and Yoda do? Yeah. They failed miserably. They failed the entire galaxy and quit. They're like, fuck it. We fucked up. We're out. See ya. Oh yeah, training how to be immortal, Obi-Wan. You do that. Watch the kids. Don't let any fuckery go on. But they gave up for 18, 20 years. I mean, come on. What are we talking about? All right. The other thing, and there might be more sleuths out there that are better than me, as Luke is coming out of these visions and leaving Gyzin after he's kind of learned what he needed to learn from Elzar, which was Elzar pretty much tells him, like, Luke, listen, you be the Jedi you want to be. There's no fucking recipe. It was almost like, not that he would have known about the Galactic Republic, but it was kind of dig on them, where, you remember, they're the ones that had all the hubris and, no, you got to be this goody two-shoes. You can't do anything. You can't look at girls. You can't look at boys. And it fucked them up. I mean, they were so arrogant. I love the lines in Revenge of the Sith where Palpatine is just shit-talking Yoda, like, you arrogant little green fuck. This is on you. I did this because you're arrogance. And he's right. The Jedi thought that they were unstoppable after the heyday of the High Republic. They never thought that the Sith, and just two of them, could upend the galaxy again. But they were wrong. So if you're on the live stream, look at this book here. Luke ends up leaving with this book. And I wonder if it's one of the texts he had with him in the tree that Rey ends up with. I couldn't find it myself. But overall, interesting issue. Kind of expanding upon our boy Luke's training and how he received it after leaving Dagobah and pissing off Yoda. And obviously Obi-Wan's gone. But, Luke did a lot of self-learning, a lot of self-teaching. And he got a little assist from the High Republic era. So that was kind of a cool connection there.
Yeah.
All right.
Good shit.
And that brings us to the Star Wars Time Show fan segment. So this week, we do the same things we do every week, and that is we're going to start with the fan question of the week with the responses. And boy, we've got some fiery ones today. I will be leading off. I had a special request from our man Vicente, who's in the live chat right now. We know him as Lima4 on Instagram, but it was a very... He was coming at me every which way, Nick. He left a comment, and then he sent us a message. He's like, I don't want you to fucking miss this. I was like, all right, you got it, buddy. I will read yours. So yeah, we always end the show with our fan segment, which is the question of the week, which you can get involved with every Tuesday morning on our Instagram at Star Wars Time Show. I just put up a question. They're easy. During a Star Wars series run, I just ask, what was your favorite part or least favorite part? And people usually have plenty to say, especially in the negative connotation. And then after that, we do our top 5 featured Star Wars artists of the week, which is Nick's choices that he picks out of my cumulative picks through the week as I look through hashtag Star Wars Time Show on Instagram and check out all the kick-ass art, toy photography, tattoos, cosplay, you name it. Nick picks his 5 favorite, which we then honor as our last talking point on the show. So, my friend, it's time for the question of the week. Let's go ahead and get the screen changed up here so those that are watching can see. They can follow along. The question was, what was your favorite or least favorite part of the Book of Boba Fett Episode 3? So, I'll go ahead and let me start here with Lima Fours here. And it's a big one. And he's even telling me, you gotta love it. I love this guy. Yeah. At Haywood Pop, read it like you did the last time. Angrier if you must. Okay, so everyone prepare. I'm going to get into a little bit of my acting here, do a little practice. I'm going to channel my inner Lima 4 photos. You might want to back your volume down a little bit, okay? Because like you said, he wants me to read it angrier if I must, okay? And the first line is all in caps, so you know what's coming. All right, here we go. Just let things play out, okay? Fucking Star Wars fans. Worst thing about any episode are the fans. Really. Number 1, they're destroying a legacy character. Really? Sticking to the movies, visual mediums? What legacy? Max of 5 minutes or words spoken per OT movie, standing around looking cool and getting whacked into the Sarlacc pit like a complete buffoon by a blind Han as his only real action scenes in the OT. If anything, at least his legend is being built upon and continually developed for those who don't read the comics or never got into the EU stuff. He's supposed to be a badass, man of few words. What are they doing to our beloved character? You make a whole spin-off series for the guy, and you don't want him to talk much? What kind of fucking story do you expect to be told when your title character isn't going to talk much? What? Is character development off the table now? I'm pretty friggin' sure that these people complaining are the same ones who complained that there was no character development done for the sequel trilogy mains. Just months ago, all these memes basically worshiping Jon Favreau and our Dave Filoni and how they are recovering, resting their backs from having to carry the weight of Star Wars universe on their shoulders. And now that there's something they don't like, all of a timeout. Sudden that there's something they didn't like, all of a sudden people revert to blaming Disney and even KK generically again for ruining Star Wars. Did these people not see the first things that rolled out in the credits? Written by Jon Favreau. And hey, Dave Filoni, executive creative director. People flocking to the poof flingers of the internet and giving them clicks and views while shows like the At Star Wars Time Show don't get enough love. What the fuck? Favorite part? Anything with At Ming-Na Wen in it. Smiley face with heart eyes. The end. How'd I do?
It was good.
Was the read intense enough? Did I capture his emotions?
I think you did. I mean, Lima's in the chat, so maybe he could tell you if you hit the tone. But
how'd I do, Vicente?
He hit the message.
Yeah.
He hit the message, and that's what's important. I mean, and that's just like, you know what like sucks for me, and probably for you too. I don't know if you experience this, but the people who know that I do this, they'll ask me sometimes like, oh, Boba Fett show, I heard it sucks.
Yep, that's what happens.
Or something like that. It's, like, oh, the Bad Batch, I heard it wasn't that good. It's
right.
Like, well...
And then you almost feel like an asshole for having to defend it.
Yeah, because now it's like, now they've put the onus on me to be like...
To sell it to them.
Well, prove to me that I should watch this. And it's like, look, man... And look, like I'll try to defend Star Wars to anybody you put in front of me, but it sucks for me that like people's first impression or first exposure to a show is negativity online. That's never fun for me.
I mean, because like it's the world we live in. I mean, shit sells. Yeah. Look at the media. I mean, not that things are going great right now, but they're not as bad as the media makes it out to be because people don't want to tune into, puppy dogs and ice cream. They want to tune into fucking chaos. We are evil beings, my friends. Humans are not good. We're not good. We are fucked up. This planet's been trying to kill us for decades. We just get a little smarter and have more technology to keep living. But come on. I mean, if you believe in all the God shit, like where is he? Take us out at this point in time.
We're on variant whatever, 25 of the human race, and the Earth just can't get rid of us.
Take us out. We have worn out our fucking welcome. Like enough's enough.
But yeah, I mean, like that's what sucks for me though, is because a lot of the time, like I would go back home and like, you know, I hang out with my friends from school and stuff like that. We would go see every Star Wars movie. We go every time I would go home, we'd go see a Star Wars movie. Be like, man, that was fun. You know, all this other stuff. And now like I go home and like there's no movies, so we're just like talking about stuff out there. He's like, oh yeah, Book of Boba Fett stuff. Like I heard it's not good.
I'm with you.
Bad Batch. I heard that sucked. And it's like, man, you don't like, I know for some people who aren't like big fans, they're like, oh, I'm just telling you what I heard. But you're telling me that because you know that I do a podcast and like I'm like super hardcore Star Wars fan. And it's like, that's never what I want anybody's first exposure to be to anything. Like not even just Star Wars. Like if somebody comes up to me and are like, yeah, that neighborhood you live in, heard it sucks. It's like, man, like that's not fun for anybody. Right. Like
I get it.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, it's so like my buddy, the guy that, you know, way back when for Star Wars Celebration 2, we made our own costumes when cosplaying wasn't even cool and got out there. And these days, we can't even really talk Star Wars because he only sees it through the negative lens. Like there's nothing. Oh, that looked like shit. The action was vomit. Fuck it. I'm like, well, dude, are you paying attention to the story at all? Like, does story matter anymore? Or did we all just like Star Wars because of the zing zings and the pew pews? I don't know. I said it earlier. I don't want to rehash it again. I feel like we've been in a spin cycle on this nonsense, but I love Star Wars because of the story. Always have, always will. That's why I was so jazzed about the prequels to learn more about Anakin and what made him Darth Vader. That's why I'm digging Book of Boba Fett. What turned him into a guy that was actually cool versus a shithead from the original trilogy. So whatever. All right.
Yeah. All right.
We've said it all. Up. We've said it all.
Don't worry. We're not out of the muckraking yet because number 2's here. And then there's a lot more. I mean, Kingdom of Weird's been very upfront in the chat. Like first half of the episode he liked, second half he didn't like. But then like going down, we'll see what people think. So this is from Kingdom of Weird. He says, my favorite parts are the Rancor introduction and the nonsensical Kirsten Tan fight. A good episode until the space mod mobility scooters and the Spy Kids riders fluffed it up at the end. Yeesh. These new characters have become the most embarrassing looking thing I've seen in Star Wars since the holiday special. I've seen more intimidating looking kids outside my local corner shop asking for cigarettes.
I could see that. Like I've been over to the UK. I don't know where he lives, but yeah, there are some tough looking motherfuckers. Yeah. But I don't know.
Hopefully they get much better and less Inspector Gadgety. Is what he said.
For me, it's the almost the entire Naboo segment of Attack of the Clones to me is the most embarrassing looking Star Wars stuff and sounding Star Wars stuff I've ever seen. That's to me. That's to me. I mean, it's hard to get those scenes out of your head and the I wish ya, all that type of shit. So, all right, let's go.
Yeah,
we're gonna be here all day if we just sit here and keep justifying fan hate and whatnot.
So J School Quee Arts.
I know who this is. He's sneaking in here. This is Johnny. This is Johnny Osage.
Oh, really? Yeah. On a different account?
Yeah,
oh
he's coming
Johnny.
in. He's coming in with
he's flinging the poo.
Hide. He's flinging the poo under another handle.
He says episode 3 wasn't good at all. The Cyberpunk gang? Come on, Rodriguez. This isn't a Spy Kids reboot. Hey, I'm all for Quadrophenia Vespa gang, but the kids in Luca rode faster. Sorry, this was a swing and a miss for me, but the Star Wars glutton that I am, I'll be waiting for episode 4 with open arms. I hear Banderas makes a cameo.
Yeah, see, I thought he made that little joke there, so that wasn't too bad. Yeah,
that wasn't too bad. Mickey B Collect says the Rancor scene was both my favorite and least favorite. Love the character development provided by the Rancor. Hated the, to me, blatant and failed corporate synergy between the use of the character in the story and the Woeful HasLab campaign. The only thing I have to say to that is if you think for a second that John or Dave even know a HasLab campaign has happened for that, you are sorely mistaken.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think that had any real ties. They may
not even know that Hasbro makes toys for Star Wars. Like, you have to realize that they are so completely involved in the development of storyline that whatever the marketing department does with like their people just completely passes by their head. Like, they don't even give a shit.
Props. I only speak the truth, my friend. He's calling me out, saying I talk bad about the prequels. The Last Jedi is the worst thing I've ever seen. Boba coming in close. I don't know about that. I still have, like, if you really want to, and this was for when I was a little angry about the prequels, I have a full dissertation on our YouTube channel about why Phantom Menace is the best prequel and Revenge of the Sith is the worst. So if you really want to get into my deep thoughts on why I didn't enjoy the prequels, go check that out.
I mean, all I have to say is watch, like, you can talk all you want about the speeder chase from this show. Watch that opening speeder chase in the beginning of Attack of the Clones. Some of the worst shit I've ever seen in my life in terms of, like, acting and CG. At one point, they fly through that electricity thing, and it was the worst electricity. They're like, you can literally hear them with their mouths going. I was like, dude, this is
you're not wrong. But Nick, at least they look like they're going fast.
At least they're going fast, right? They're moving quickly through a space. So, last one up here is the Rancor Pit. Says favorite Boba petting his new Rancor baby. Least favorite people outraged on the internet about literally everything Star Wars does that's different or new. Then Lima 4 comes in with the clap saying, I can't fucking agree enough with this. Good on you. And Utah Don hitting them with the 100%.
I love it. Dude, I need to just start posting nonstop opinion prompts on Instagram, especially like this, because
that's what gets
people eat it up. Like if you open up to, like, hey, shit on something, they're like, yeah, buddy.
Let me do it. Let me do it.
Which also then brings in people that defend or had the opposite viewpoint. So I might need to change the strategy here.
It opens up dialogue, and that's good for interaction. So that's it. That's it for the question of the week. Obviously, we have a mixed bag of reactions from the fans out there.
Listen,
but hey,
people, we love anyone that listens to us on a regular basis. We love you. We got your back. Whatever you say is great. Okay. We're talking shit about all the other people that don't listen to us that talk shit about this episode. So just wanted to make that cleure. Our flock can say whatever the fuck they want and not get chastised until I get a bug up my ass.
Until one of us blows a gasket and then just can't take it anymore. But that's the end of the question of the week.
Yes,
We're moving on to the top 5 fan artist features of the week. We'll see how many people hate these images for different reasons. So let's get into it. If you want to get involved in this little segment,
Twi'lek's a cunt. She's only in it for one. She only says one line.
Garza, whip. Her skin tone.
She's not even real.
Leku are too long. But if you want to get involved in this little segment, use the hashtag Star Wars Time Show on all of your Star Wars related art posts.
And tag us to fuck with me in the new messaging system on Instagram. Why not?
Tag us at Star Wars Time Show as well. And we will see your posts.
I always love the end of the show. The end of the show is always fun because we start getting slappy.
I know. We're just always like, whatever. Matt will see it. If he likes it, he'll share it. And if I like it, I will make it a top 5.
That's right.
So that's how this little segment works.
Nick is the true boss here.
Look, man, I gotta let people know
he lives a real life. Like he's not on social media like the rest of us bozos. So good for him.
Like you see like how I am now when I'm not on social media. Imagine if I was like doing what you were doing. I would have jumped off of a building. Like
you would, dude. It's like, that's why like I'm gonna still continue every Wednesday morning. Just give you like a little heads up of what may be coming. But I know you're not gonna look. I shoulder this.
Like I read that message and I was like I remembered it when I watched it this morning. I was like, I wonder what's gonna be like the big thing here.
Yeah.
And then when I saw that speeder chase, I was like, I guarantee, well, this is going to be what everybody hates.
I carry the weight of the Star Wars Time Show and all the fan hate on my shoulders, so Nick doesn't have to bear that burden.
I can't do it. I'm a person that is prone to depression without shit like that in my life.
Yeah, Nick would be like, he opens our Instagram on Wednesday afternoon, and you see him jumping out of his window.
Yes.
I've had enough of this shit. Good. All right, let's get in here. And like Devin said, I think him and Justin are getting into a pissing match in the comment. I love it. They're like two best Star Wars bro friends, and they're ready to go at it. Let's go.
All right, here we go. So to kick things off is actually at super_scoundrel. How fitting is that? that him and Justin are in the chat having fun with each other. But he's got this, I mean, like this may be one of my favorite pieces from Justin, because this is so perfect, and not from Justin, from Devin, from Super Scoundrel, because it so perfectly captures the essence and the feel of Garsa Fwip. Like this is this may be one of, without him even trying, maybe one of Devin's most realistic portrayals of a character to date.
You get that side profile portrait action going on.
Yeah, I mean it's beautiful the way that he captured like almost like every bit of Garsa Fwip that we've seen in the show so far, and obviously we haven't seen much. She's only been in maybe 2 minutes of content total, but just his style with this character works so perfectly. I mean, like even down to like the insane detailing that he put into the earrings and the headpiece and everything else that goes into it. I'm always
amazed at how this motherfucker, and we don't always, if you're new here, this isn't how we always talk about our featured artists. We're just, Devin's like, he's in with the show. He's one of our wrenches. There's a history. We go a long way back. We got him all his jobs, all his fame, all his money. So we can say stuff like that.
You see.
But what he does here with the real ass paint technique that he uses, it's how he, it's not illustrating, it's how he colors the lighting. Like somehow through his magical abilities, he's able to actually get like light reflecting and bouncing off of this character. You can see you kind of got that the burst coming off of her head jewel, and the splash of light on her shoulder or on one of her head tails, or whatever the fuck they're called. So just a true pro. I mean, you can tell. I think Book of Boba has motivated young Devin again because he spit out, we got Garsa, he did an unmasked Pike and then a masked Pike, and they were all brilliant portrait creations. And it's been a while since he dabbled in Star Wars. So
yeah, the masked Pike is just truly incredible, the way that he uses the atmosphere to fill that image too. So I mean, it's always a treat to get to see Devin's work on the regular in the feed. But this one was definitely, like, I don't know why either. It's not like Garsa Fwip is a main character by any stretch.
I mean,
but this
dude, she is hands down the sexiest live action Twi'lek in all of Star Wars. Challenge. I mean, who's better? I mean, I guess unless you're into males and you say Bib Fortuna when he was not fat.
When
I don't
he
know.
Was thin.
Yeah, when he was not fat and all like albino Fortuna. Looking.
Yeah.
Seriously, Jennifer Beals as a Twi'lek is just a fine-looking, mature woman.
Very true.
Love it.
Sticking with the real ass paint, we're going to move on to at Kyber Supply.
It's Mayor McCheese.
Kyber Supply has given us a fantastic rendition of Mayor McCheese, or I guess McCheese, because I guess that's what the fandom is calling him.
See, trust me. Like I said, I shoulder it all for you. I get all the memes. I know it all. So by showtime, I'll have them all for you to lay out.
You know what meme I've been seeing too much? Not even Star Wars. I've been seeing the fucking Kramer Jerry meme everywhere, even Star Wars land. But anyway, this Mayor McCheese picture. I mean, this is some actually like incredible real ass paint.
Of course. What the hell style is this? I mean, we at least know Devin's magic is of house vector art.
Yeah.
What is Kyber Supply doing here? It's like you just make stroke, and that somehow builds a coherent piece.
So he says that created using Adobe Photoshop. So I mean, I don't know. I know that there's some things that you can do in Photoshop where essentially like you import an image and then you can apply a filter over it that does make it look.
Do you think that's what's going on here? Do you think this is,
or it'll make it look like?
Would you put your signature on something like an image you just filtered though?
That's what I was gonna say. Is like if all I did was like drop it in Photoshop and then like put one of those sketch filters on it, it almost feels disingenuous to say like, hey, I created this. But then again, like I don't understand anything about digital art at all. Like the most that I could do is like, I could give you some like inside info on like 3D modeling from my time in college. But like when it came to like Photoshop, Illustrator stuff, I wasn't very good at it. Like I knew like some elements of what Devin does and some elements of what these digital artists do, but I don't know nearly enough to say how people create it. Like maybe Devin or another digital artist would be able to look at this and say like how they were able to achieve this particular look. But I mean, regardless, it is a picture perfect representation of Moshe's from Book of Boba Fett. And I'm not one to say whether like how Kyber Supply made it, but I can tell you that he's got an Etsy store where he does a lot of like you can buy Kyber crystals from him, like on necklaces. Oh yeah,
I saw those. Those look kind of
different
neat
stuff like that.
Yep.
And yeah, so he has a shop that he actually sells like souvenirs from. So it's pretty cool. But I mean, this image itself, pretty awesome.
Sweet. Like I said, I mean, if this is real ass paint, just more power to you.
Pretty
I still think you
yeah.
all went to Hogwarts or something. It just doesn't make sense in my head.
No,
not that shit. Hey, I mean, I'm sitting here. I'm trying to work out something with 1.6 shooter. Really, I'll put it out here. I truly feel like we have some of the worst thumbnails for our just Star Wars content and our podcast. And I really just need someone that has a design brain and eye to whip up 2 or 3 templates that an idiot like myself could load into fake Photoshop and just, okay, here's a placeholder for an image, here's a placeholder for the episode number and our logo. Here we go. Because I mean, when I share the podcast on Wednesdays, it's just the logo, black background, number. It might get 30 views out of our 12,000 followers on Instagram because it's a pile of shit. There's nothing enticing. Like, why even click on it? It's just a fucking number. So unless you're a diehard, you're like, I don't care about this, and I understand it. So I'm putting the call out there. Might still go with Trevor here. I didn't follow up with him because I'm an asshole like that.
He's in the chat. We're following up right now.
There you go, Trevor. I'm following up. I mean, I'll cut off a ball, whatever you want. I'll send a too small hat, but I want 2 or 3 templates that can really spruce up our social shares and make them slightly more engaging and maybe enough to get people to click on shit. I don't know if that's like putting my fat face on it, making my eyes look big and putting like negative connotation stuff on there, like some of the bigger Star Wars channels. Like, you know, every post will just be Kathleen fired and my eyes are all big or smiling, stuff like that. But I could figure out a template. I just don't have the design brain to actually create the template with something that looks engaging. So there you go. It's been put out there. Let's see the fans jump and react to that.
Yeah.
as the cricket sound comes in, like beep 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 beep.
No, I think that having new thumbnails would be
cool. 100%. I got to convince someone to do it for us because I can't fucking do that stuff.
We're shit at fucking
big time shit at design work. I mean, and I'm one of the worst.
Dude, it's funny too because like I went to school for like part of my degree was like, you know, like a year of graphic design, and I just fucking sucked at it.
I'm terrible.
Like I was just bad.
I mean, my thumbnails are about the most interactive you get for like Book of Boba, and all it is an image from the episode, the Boba Fett logo, and then words under to say like breakdown or Easter eggs. It's stupid as fuck.
That's our limit. All right, next
continue
up
on
in the top 5 is _Empire Strikes, and I think it's funny with this name and then the image that we see. So what we see here is like a bunch of clearly custom made stormtroopers, and they're sitting down, they're playing a game of cards. And
does the one have a bow tie, Nick? The one standing, is that a bow tie or is that just like chipped paint?
He's the dealer.
Yeah, so it is a bow tie.
Yeah, he's got the bow tie.
I love it.
So I think that we've said multiple times on the show that we always like seeing Star Wars people.
Hashtag Star Wars humor, brother. I love it. They're some of my favorite setups. They may not be always the most technically great looking shot, but I like the story they're telling, and that's why the Empire Strikes is on the top 5 this week.
Yeah, and it's fun because like I can see with their name, like these guys are on, like they're actually on strike. They're like, fuck it, we're on strike. We're gonna go play some cards
playing poker.
until we get our demands met. We need to have 2 hours of no helmet mandatory per day.
Yeah, they're like anti-maskers. Like, I can't wear my helmet all day.
Like yeah. So I just thought it was a fun setup, and you can clearly like what's cool about this is like everything here is custom made, like these cards, hand painted too. You could tell hand painted, custom made. The cards, the chips, the helmets for the stormtroopers, everything. So I just thought it was really cool, creative piece that was put together by the Empire Strikes.
Awesome, love this. I mean, just love this stuff. I love when people. And there are other accounts that I probably should share more. It's just, it depends on the mood I'm in and what I'm seeing and how big the to share list is getting these days. Because there's sometimes I might only get 6 out. Sometimes I might do 15. But I can tell you these next 16 weeks, I for some reason, someone that's going on their final promotion is probably going to get it. I loaded myself up with more work and committed FaceTime with students than I've done in probably 2 years. So the fuck off time is very limited over the next 16 weeks. And no, I'm not asking for anyone to feel bad for me because I still have one of the greatest careers of all time. So thank you.
Yeah. Awesome. So next up in the top 5, this is actually kind of like a series of shots from
I love this one. I'm glad you went with this because you're right. It essentially is like a Lego retelling of the Book of Boba Fett episode 1, right?
Yeah, no, dude, it's fantastic. So what we see first is kind of the stinger from the end of Mandalorian season 2, where you have Fennec and Boba sitting on the throne that Bib Fortuna had once occupied, all done in Lego. And then you go to the next one and you see Boba's escape from the Sarlacc pit, done in all Legos. Kind of funny seeing him like popping up almost like he's running out of the sand.
You even get it's almost like they're telling the whole story because you get the sandcrawler in the background, you get the Tuskens approaching.
Yeah. So awesome stuff in this one. Next one up, we see the infamous now
the derp fight
shield scene. The shield scene. So you see Fennec and Boba surrounded by the shields, all fighting there. The Nightwind. That's what their name is. And then you get to see the follow-up from that, which is Fennec chasing down the 2 guys. I wish he would have showed the scene of Fennec kicking that one guy off.
One dude. I only need one.
Kicking the one dude off. Yeah. So I just thought it was cool. It was a fun little journey.
Loved it.
Like a 4-shot recreation, like you said, of episode 1 of Book of Boba Fett. So at YC_solo on Instagram, absolutely fantastic work with these Legos, and then giving us an alternative view of.
Yeah, no, I dig when some of the artists try to tell a story in their shots. I know Action Figure Neverland did one where it was more like a comic panel. It was just a solo shot, but you had a panel, and it told a story from start to finish, which we're getting here from at YC_solo, albeit in individual shot form with Legos. So good stuff. Good stuff indeed. So final one for the top 5 this week is at Imperial_troops_optics. And I mean, this is like a propaganda poster almost. No, this guy's boss. I've watched this account. I don't know when it popped up, but this account is at the level already where posts like this are garnering, 1,300, 1,500, 2,000 likes, and for good reason. As Nick said, I mean, this is like, we want you to join the clone army, as you have you have a commando there out front, and then you have other members of the 501st flanking, and Troops Optics always layers in like I think one of the gunships is a decent size, but a lot of these smaller ones you see, they're like the little tiny micro machines, and it's just the way they're placed. You can kind of use those different scales, and it all look like a coherent scene.
Yeah, I mean, it's just awesome. Like the setup of this shot is so incredible. Crazy. Perfect positioning for the ships coming, like cresting right over the horizon. And then just the way that he has all of these troopers lined up is fantastic, man. Posing them each.
This person to me, Nick, is has either like tricked a small child into setting these up for them and then dealing with the inevitable dominoes of figures, or they have the greatest patience of all time, because like this isn't like layering here. This dude lines up all these fucking figures like this for real. Gets them to stand there. I mean, I think he's using wires and whatnot, But these setups are freaking insane. Like the amount of figures being loaded up in some of these. It's like, this person could be, like I said, the most patient human on the planet. Because I know for me, and I tried to set one of these up the first time, the whole shooting match fell over. See you later. I'd be trying to rip my own tongue out and stabbing my eyes like, like a big baby. Why do you do this to me? I'd be like kicking the figures and throwing them places. So kudos to Imperial_Troops_Optics for just the insane amount of patience and the ability to craft amazing looking like war photography, clone war photography to be more exact.
Yeah. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. At Imperial_Troops_Optics. Well done. That's the end of the top 5. That's the end of the show. Matt, take us home.
Well, we clearly like talking about the Book of Boba Fett, or at least trying to figure out why fans hate Star Wars, because we've been setting records on the show. I know I started earlier, but we're definitely going over our 2.5. So consider this as a freebie, my friends. If we had a Patreon, this is what you'd be paying for at this point in time. The bonus content. But hey, it's all good discussion. We got real Star Wars going on, live Star Wars going on. Every week we got something to talk about, stuff to whine about, stuff clearly most people want to bitch about, but also to appreciate. So as Nick said, episode 196 is being put to bed, and the way we usually lay these episodes to rest is by reminding everyone to remember and to frequent on a daily basis, even though we put up content like every other 4 days. Just go to StarWarsTime.net. Add it to your favorites. If you have an iPhone, go ahead and just download it right to your desktop. The icon will look like us. You can just tap onto it. So instead of using Safari, you can see the Star Wars Time Show logo. You tap on it, it opens right to our homepage at StarWarsTime.net. And the reason you want to be there is, again, you're going to get kind of a preview of the topics we will be discussing. But most importantly, it has all of the information you need to get keyed in with the Star Wars Time Show. I'm talking podcast platforms, YouTube links, all that fun stuff. So please, if you're not subbed already, YouTube, let's do it. While you're here, sub to the channel, turn on notifications, like what you're listening to, even though you may not like it. Just do it. It's good for you. It'll make you feel better. All right? Just think of it as doing a good deed for your fellow man, even though there's not a lot of people left in this world that seem to want to help out and do the right thing for their fellow man. But you can do it for us, StarWarsTime.net. There's always time for Star Wars time, people. Get with it. If you're a fan, you know this. And like we ask you every week, try to convince someone else. It's not easy. We get it. We've been trying to do it and it failed miserably. But you never know. Maybe one of you will stumble upon the appropriate schlub that is going to take us to the next level. I'd love to get the numbers back before, I don't know, we probably pissed people off. There's one main event that I know shaved off a good amount of listeners. These are the people that probably thought, at least because of me and the way I acted, we were the angry type. But really, the Gina Carano episode, I can trace back to a sheer drop-off of used-to-be fans of the Star Wars Time Show. So let's build that shit back up. Come on. You know other people out there that might dig this stupid stuff. They don't have to be here live. We understand 2:30 on Tuesdays not conducive to most people that have a life. We get it. But we appreciate anyone that does dedicate some of their time, even if they're throwing it on in the background to listen to us while they work the doldrums of the day away. So StarWarsTime.net. Let's get it. Spread it. Don't spread it like the other stuff. Just spread it to other like-minded geeks. We need you. Oh, Spotify now allows ratings and reviews. So if you've been a follower on there, make sure to drop one over there. We need that type of stuff. As we've been saying in these other closings, at this point in time, we have to also not only convince humans and meatbags that we're worth listening to, but we got to convince the AI overlords we all bend the knee to these days, at least those of us that hold our phones for more hours in the day than we should. Let's all try to be like young Nick in that area of our lives. We speak your name. All right, there's always time for Star Wars time, people. Do what you got to do. Let's do this. 4 more episodes to go, which means 4 more breakdowns are coming. So be subscribed to that YouTube channel. StarWarsTime.net will get you there. And besides, as I always leave you with this sage advice. If you do end up listening to the Star Wars Time show, the Force, yes, that stuff, complete with midichlorians, will be with you. Always.